Welcome back, everybody. I don't know why I did it in that voice. There you go. You can tell it's beyond my bedtime. Anyway, uh, it's time once again for everybody to get on the hoe train. And by that I mean question and answers and all that. The old school hangout. Bri has already said we miss you, AJ. Well, you can't.
That's
He's there. Or there, depending how it's mirrored. Whatever. Owen's here as well. I be Ashley, and I hope I'm here. Just double checking, yeah. Um. So yeah, my first question is because I've been trying to clarify this with some of my other American friends. Why does America hate Bridget Jones? Because over here it made sort of 12 million as like biggest release. It did double the money of Captain America. And Universal, in a year where all I can see, at least in terms of their big box office stuff, is the Jurassic Park sequel, world sequel, whatever the hell we call that, the Jurassic thing, and and Wicked Part 2. Everything else is either horror themed or children's themed, because I don't know what we call How to Train Your Dragon. Do we call it Gus Van Sant Psycho? We'll have to wait and see. I thought this would have been a shoe-in. I know they've got blooming Love Hurts and all that sort of romantic stuff, but that's more action orientated anyway. I thought this would have been like a big thing for women to get behind, um, to watch that isn't Captain America.
Well, it's interesting you say that because looking at its wiki page tells me that the first film did well, the second one not so much, but overall it commercially was successful. The third one was fine, so it made about $756 million for the three movies. I can't explain why it's not being released here theatrically.
Especially with the ironic bit is if you look at the, because spoilers if you haven't seen it to some extent. The reason why I think they're saying final film is basically the closing credits is sort of highlights from the franchise.
Mm.
The fascinating thing is they acknowledge the first film, they acknowledge the third film. It's like they completely forget Edge of Reason happened. I'm not sure why.
Well, I was just about to make the comment that the second movie is probably the most forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the first one was huge, and the third one might be my personal favorite one. And yeah, I'm looking forward to 4, but I haven't gotten to it yet. It'll probably be on the next review video.
I'm trying to work out whether you're a fan of 3 because it's original. Because technically, the other 3 would probably be based on the books. Because, certainly with the. I guess we can say that Darcy dies. Because it was in the books 10 years ago. And people are going, oh my god, why are you doing this in the trailer? And it's like, this shows you how many people actually look at the material. It'd be the equivalent of blooming, Goblet of Fire coming out. And when the film comes out, people go, oh, I didn't know that Snape kills Dumbledore. Like, that sort of thing. Like, but the book. And it sort of does feel, as well, the fourth one, that it sort of acknowledges that 3 happens, but at the same time, there's no recurring characters, I think, from 3. We don't get a Patrick Dempsey cameo. So again, it sort of feels like it's sort of non-canon or something. I don't know. But yeah, I know Universal has other stuff, but I thought it would have been something that would have been good counter-programming to Captain America. Especially when it doesn't seem to have hit again. I mean, it says a lot that your bloody big climactic end fight scene is what basically the whole 70% of what the trailer's been building to shows.
What? I heard that, and I am just completely not surprised at all. Like, hasn't that always been the thing?
Yeah, but the
the,
whole, oh look, Ross is the Red Hulk. That's the big climactic end scene.
it feels like the more marketing focuses on one specific thing, the more you realize that thing's going to barely be in the movie. That's like always their thing.
Well, it's not that it's barely in; it's the final scene. If you'd have, if you'd have,
Okay.
if you'd have done it better, you made it more of a mystery thing.
It's Andrew Garfield jumping towards the rhino all over again.
Sort of, but at least that added like another villain and whatever. The whole Hulk fight scene is the last 15 to 20 minutes of the film. So the best comparison is Fast and Furious. Back with what, Fast 7 and 8, where it basically gave you the blooming final chase scenes in the trailer. What is going on with movies this year? At least I'm intrigued by Monkey, because I don't know where the hell it's going. Considering how we didn't... I want to say Longlegs wasn't that gory. It feels like Perkins has basically gone, oh, right. Let me go to my Abel Ferreira Driller Killer era for the fucking Monkey. That looks so... That could be fun. We'll see how it is this week, because it actually releases in the UK at the same time as America. No week ahead of time or week behind time. We all get to experience it at the same time.
It is my movie for Friday. Already have tickets for it, and it will be after I finally see Amelia Perez a couple hours prior.
And you finally will understand penis to vagina. So I'm trying to work out whether you're just going to laugh at that bit.
I don't know at this point, man.
Right. Just seeing some of the other stuff in the chat. Bryce says the last 2,000 movies I've caught up over the weekend is Pollock, A Prophet, and No End in Sight. And then it seems as if, at least in early developments, we do have a Paddington 4, motherfucker. Yes.
Just as long as it's better than Paddington in Peru, I'm fine.
Yeah. I tried to give you all the warnings.
I know, and I really wanted to go into it with fresh eyes and everything. And after watching what the shorts were, I still can't wrap my head around some of that stuff. Needless to say, or extremely bored to death with other things, it was the only actual movie I watched on Friday. And I was away from everyone, like always. There wasn't anybody around me. It wasn't like obnoxious people everywhere. So, I mean, they were there. They were just further away. So it wasn't a problem because I was sitting in the back. It's easier to get out that way after the movie's over. But no, I was very disappointed and I didn't want to be. You gave me the Iggy that was going to be a thing, and I wanted to not believe you, but I understand you were just trying to warn me. And I appreciate that. I just wish I would have taken your advice.
It's fun. It's just not on the caliber of what Paul King gave us with 1 and 2.
Couple things were fine, but it's just like overall, it doesn't have that warmth that the other two have.
Yeah, Bryce says haven't seen Paddington in Peru yet. I mean, it's something, you know. As I say, it's enjoyable, but
I mean, if I say it's the worst thing I've seen this year, that basically is the fact that it's only February and I'm only watching awards movies, so that's not saying anything at all.
yeah. Very true. Bryce says, I thought the first Bridget is overrated, but liked the sequels. Interesting. Pass it saying, glad to see you, AJ. Missed you lately. He's still around. Don't worry. Bryce put the cinematography thing, so we'll get to that. Parsnip says, have you guys seen Threesome from 1994? If not, it's on Hulu at the minute. But I saw it years ago and have the DVD. It's one of those titles I've been looking for an upgrade for years.
AJ, that's the Stephen Baldwin, Laura Flynn Boyle movie, right?
I don't think I'm familiar with it actually.
Hold on. If it's what I think it is,
hang on, I'm gonna put Threesome into Wikipedia because I dare not do it on Google.
I do know that Stephen Baldwin had like a somewhat softcore era.
Yeah, it is. Heck yeah,
Andrew Fleming's movie.
Yeah, I have seen Threesome actually. It was
That's
a long
the first
time ago.
I've seen the phrase erotic dramedy.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. That is a word that exists.
You know,
yeah, I 1,000,000% know exactly what movie you're talking about. I have seen it before, and I remember enjoying it back then. I think I'd like it more now because I feel like I get it more now.
You know what that reminds me when I say I feel like Stephen Baldwin had a softcore era in the mid '90s. Reminds me that it reminds me of a movie I saw very late at night one time when I was like 11 or 12 probably, when I wasn't supposed to be awake. And I think it was called Mercy. I want to say Ellen Barkin might have been in it.
That sounds right.
If it wasn't, it was somebody Ellen Barkin-esque. And he was in it, and he's credited as mechanic. And his only scene is he runs into her at a bar and he says seductively, "I'm a mechanic. I fix things." And then it like fades out and you're supposed to imagine something happened and we never see him again. That's like his only line.
I also find it kind of funny
AJ,
that a decade or so after Threesome, he writes and directs the Nancy Drew movie. What a weird turn that took.
So, again, I was a little young when Threesome came out, but I will say that I remember watching it on, I think it might have been on one of it definitely was on a movie channel for sure, because it wouldn't have been something I would have been able to rent or have access to when I was that young. But yeah, I do remember seeing it. I think it might have been on Showtime.
That seems right.
The go-to would be Cinemax, but I think it was Showtime this time around. I know it wasn't HBO. Because I don't know how it is now because it's been so many years, but back then, Showtime, Cinemax, and HBO all had like basically one over from each other in the cable company. Because like HBO was 21, Cinemax was 22, and Showtime's 23.
And then for some reason you skipped 24, and then Stars was 25.
24 was the Disney Channel actually for a while.
Yeah, for a while it was. Yeah,
And Disney and 25 became ESPN.
that's right. Now I've forgotten what
MTV was
Stars was.
26, Lifetime was 27, FX was 28, TNN was 30, Nickelodeon was 31, the Weather Channel was 32, and USA was 34.
Yeah, I think.
Scary, I remember that.
Yeah, I think what I'm thinking of. I think I'm thinking of this was like pre-Stars. That's
Mhm.
why. That's why Stars was nowhere to be found at the
Stars
time.
was 20.
Was it?
Stars was 20, yeah. I can't believe I can remember this back in the day. Like TBS was like 18 and Fox was 11 because that's literally what the gimmick was. Fox 11. PBS was 12. CBS was 13. Encore was 14. As it happens, you get an angry and tired Owen on this podcast. I start talking about the cable channels back when I used to live in West Virginia many, many years ago. Let's talk Angel 4 Undercover. All right, let's go.
Speaking
A
of
Malcolm McDowell movie that most people want to forget.
Bryce Payne, speaking of the 90s, some of the 90s Oscar nomination announcements got put up on archive, I guess, on the Oscar YouTube channel. And also the full version of the 68th Academy Awards from, 1996?
Mm.
And Bry was surprised that there was no applause when Toy Story got in for original screenplay. Because of, the nature of an animated film making it into a screenplay nomination.
They wouldn't have popped back in the day, but I know if it happened now, obviously everybody go nuts for it.
I'm pretty sure there was a pretty audible reaction to Beauty and the Beast's picture nomination.
I'm sure there was.
Of course,
the movie was beloved.
Obviously that's bigger than the screenplay nomination, but still.
Oh, sorry, not the 68th ceremony, the 68th announcement ceremony, as opposed to the actual thing. Parsons says, speaking of American Beauty, there's an allegation now out by Guy Pearce. Oh, it's the other way around now. We're not slandering the films, we're slandering the actors, are slandering other people. Pearce claiming that he was targeted by Kevin Spacey, who responded with a video and told him to grow up. Okay.
I remember him when the Spacey thing first happened. I remember Guy Pearce saying something, but he was kind of vague.
Bryce, I think for Owen, it's in terms of why he didn't like Paddington and Peru, is because Sally Hawkins wasn't in it.
Yeah, she was very much missing from the movie for sure.
Parsnip saying Happy Go Lucky is Hawkins' best film. Ooh. I probably.
I really like it, but I don't know if I would. It's her best film. It got me a lot of bragging rights at awards season, but that's about it.
That was Blue Jasmine.
No, I had Sally Hawkins, remember? Because that's we literally called it my Sally Hawkins for the year. Because that's how it started, was Happy Go Lucky.
No, well, she didn't get in for Happy Go Lucky.
It was for something else, though.
Blue Jasmine.
Well, I can't do these shows.
It was a long time ago. We're getting really far into the future now.
I just rattled off the freaking television stations from when I was a kid. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Well, okay, haven't you said recently that you don't care for Mike Lee? Maybe that's why you're confused.
Yeah, I kind of did Bass Hard Truths a little bit when we did our BAFTA show.
Bry asks us for our thoughts on the Criterion Collection lineup for May. very excited about one of them. I'm surprised it hasn't been Criterion yet. So May the 6th, we've got 4Ks by the looks of it as of Umbrellas of Cherbourg and In the Heat of the Night. Then May 13th, we've got, I think, a first release for The Wind Will Carry Us from Abbas Kiarostami. Then May the 20th, the one I'm most excited about, the 4K release of With Nail and I, and my long awaited, and it's one of my ones that I want to put into movie club when it gets put back into rotation and everything. How to Get Ahead in Advertising. Dear Lord, that movie.
Has With Nail and I not been in the collection until now?
I want to say it. I want to say it has. It was one of the earlier ones. I thought. I think it's a 4K. I think it's How to Get Ahead in Advertising is the new one. Let me double check. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want the new one. The fact that it's number 119 on the spine tells me it's. Yeah, I've got an eBay listing for 2001 in terms of it coming out previously.
So it was like the original collection, like before they.
Yeah, like with Long Good Friday, it was actually one of the earlier ones. So yeah, that's a 4K, but it's the fact that How to Get Ahead in Advertising is going to be seen by more people now. That's the most important thing to me. That's a hell of a follow-up to With Now. That's what I'm saying. And then May 27th, we've got Charles Burnett's Killer of Sheep, and then the double pack of the Richard Lester Musketeer films as well, rounding out the list.
Speaking of Charles Burnett and Criterion, I actually just only saw To Sleep with Anger for the first time like a couple of weeks ago.
As good as they made it out to be.
I always forget how underutilized his entire career Danny Glover has been. So, like, I feel like so many people don't realize exactly what he's capable of.
Yeah, when Beauty and the Beast got that nomination, the crowd was wild, Bryce says. And for Sally Hawkins, he'd say Shape of Water. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's probably the strongest of a lot. Just, probably helped by Del Toro direction and everything. And what's she in next? Oh, the Philippou brothers' new project from A24. So their second film following on from Talk to Me. So yes, of course it's a horror movie. Yeah, Parsnip says Happy Go Lucky came out in 2008. I don't think there was a Popcast then. No. Oh, Parsnip's asking, were you guys doing Oscar predictions back off camera in the years before you did it, as a sort of stream thing?
I think.
Absolutely.
Yours probably go farther back. I think we started doing it amongst ourselves around 2005. I think it was the year of Crash.
Yeah, because forever and a day, I will never, ever top this because this is just something that happened. And every year I try to replicate it, and every year it doesn't work out. But you can vouch for this because you were with me when it happened. When I walked out of Crash for the first time, I said right there, that's Best Picture. And I have never been able to replicate that since. But damned if I didn't get a lot of bragging rights when Crash won Best Picture, even though everybody was butthurt about it.
I wish, still, I've probably mentioned this 100 times. I still wish we had been on air in 2010 when, at least in the Big Eight categories, I completely crushed 2010 as far as nomination predictions go. I hate that was not, and I've gotten progressively a little worse since then. And it's like, you don't understand, guys. I was good at this once.
Well, you mentioned how I started before because what the gimmick was before we started like predicting amongst ourselves was that then NTN, now Buzz Time, would do a Oscars play along show that I remember going to Damon's for every single year. And my mother worked as a bartender there at the time. And I remember playing along because she was closing and the night before. So we went there the next night because we just hung out in Marietta, Ohio all the time at Damon's at the Comfort Suites. And which is long dead, long gone. But I remember playing the movie award show trivia game. They'd have trivia about the movies that were nominated, then you can predict who would win. It'd be a competition that lasted through the entire show. I'll never forget that. That was really cool. And then about us watching the shows, I remember watching it at Buffalo Wild Wings because we had the pull to get the Oscars on the big screen at Buffalo Wild Wings.
And
we had a lot of pull Buffalo Wild Wings back in the day. I had my own like flatbread actually.
By the way, just for full transparency, I did miss one in the Big Eight for 2010. I had, like most people, I had Nolan for Inception.
Yep.
Where I didn't have the Coen brothers. That was my one mistake.
So as you can probably tell, Parsnip, your other question of did you guys get together and watch the Oscars together before Popcast happened? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Crash was the first time, and then every time until yeah.
Until the year that La La Land won Best Picture.
I was gonna say I will say Moonlight. You say whatever you want to say.
Yep, exactly. So literally and figuratively, I could have moved to Orlando a couple months earlier because Scott had gotten the apartment at the end of the year. And he asked me to move then, but I said I wanted one last award season with AJ before I left. So I chose to stay a couple months later, and I literally moved here the day after the Oscars that year. So yeah, in essence, it really looks like I got forced to move to Orlando because I was so angry.
Also, sad connotation, that was the night Bill Paxton died too.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Jennifer Aniston did that really nice tribute before the In Memoriam played.
Yeah.
I know it's, obviously I can't talk about it because I wasn't involved in it pre-Popcast. But I still think my two proudest moments are calling Parasite and Spotlight. Because I think I was the only ones out of the three of us those years for picture.
Parasite would make sense.
I had Parasite. I started going with Parasite after SAG.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Spotlight
was.
Yeah, because what happened that year was the Revenant was taking all the big stuff, and The Big Short got PGA.
Mm-hmm.
So Spotlight
And
felt like it came from out of nowhere.
I'm trying to
Well,
think. I think the only thing Spotlight got maybe was SAG Ensemble.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the only precedent that it had. Um, this is an open goal for AJ. Parsnip says, I've missed some shows, but I was curious if you all liked A Real Pain. I've just watched it and it's not my vibe. I don't see all the acclaim for Eisenberg or Culkin. I gave it 2.5 stars on
Yikes.
Letterboxd.
Speak, AJ. I'm just gonna sit back and just watch this.
Not only do I love A Real Pain, I've seen it 3 times now, and the more I watch it and the more I think about it, the more that love grows. Like everything. Okay, so I'm not even sure where to start. It's very. I felt like what's really funny is Eisenberg is really shining a spotlight on a very specific feeling. I was talking about this with a friend a couple of weeks ago, and I articulated it perfectly, and I'm never going to be able to recreate that, but I'll try. But yeah, that's the thing is A Real Pain touches on feelings that are like really but like if you feel Eisenberg's character the way that I do, or you have known somebody like the Culkin character, and the way that somebody that you care about but also hate can make you feel so invisible and unseen. And it's like I can't even pinpoint who Benji reminds me of. It's probably like a culmination of multiple people I've known from like childhood, maybe.
Sure.
But like, or people I went to school with or something. Those kids that were always like the well-liked person that's also so troubled. And the moment, it's actually a comedic moment in the movie, but the moment that I feel like hits the most authentically and really shows you what Eisenberg is feeling is the setup to it is the restaurant scene where Eisenberg finally gets to have his let his feelings out, and everything he says when he talks about like, you know, there's stuff that's everything is going on that's so big and people have so much things they're going through and so much trouble they're going through that you feel like that your problems are small by comparison and you don't want to burden people with them, so you just hold them in. And being that person, but then there's that moment where he's finally had this moment to open up, and like everybody's kind of like taking in what he's saying for once, and then Benji starts playing the piano, and it's like everything Eisenberg just said is gone in people's heads already.
Yep.
Because the whole thing was, yeah, you guys are going to leave thinking he's so amazing, and he is, but he's who he is. And then everything Eisenberg said disappears when they watch Benji play piano. And the fact that he just walks out without saying anything, and like nobody even realizes he left. But then this is all building up to this moment with the tour guide that Will Sharp plays, where Benji has accosted him publicly in a big way at the cemetery scene and basically kind of humiliated him. And then at the restaurant, Eisenberg had that real moment with everybody. However, when it gets to the end and they're all parting ways, when the tour guide gives Benji this really big goodbye and hugs him and talks about how much this whole thing meant to him, and it's like he'll never forget him, he'll take everything he said to heart, and he turns to Eisenberg and he says bye, and he leaves. Like the restaurant scene never happened. And those little moments, like you can't have one good moment to yourself without something stupid happening. Like when they're like, hey, wouldn't this be a nice moment to put stones on our grandma's porch? And it's like, of course, this nice little sentimental moment they have is something they'll get scolded for, because that's just because stupid shit like that just happens, and you just can't have those moments. And I just feel his character, Eisenberg's character, I just feel that character to my core. And yeah, so like I said, it's just something that's like this really specific feeling. But and the movie's hilarious, and there's moments that feel like exhilarating despite the whole movie feeling rather downplayed. I just love everything about it. So yeah. And I totally get if it's a movie. Like, my friend was telling me when she first saw the trailer, the person she was with turned to her and said, "What is that even about?" And it's like, so I can, and it's like I can get where it's like you just kind of wouldn't have a connection to it. But there were just things in it that I just felt so that were so specific. So, and I don't even have a Jewish background, so you would think it'd be like, oh, I get it to an extent, but maybe not to the extent you're supposed to. But it's like, even so, there's so much universal stuff in there if it hits the right people. Because that's not even to mention how heavy the actual concentration camp scene is, regardless of context. Obviously, it'll be weightier depending on where you come from, but yeah, it was all there for me emotionally, regardless. So, maybe anybody else?
I mean, the very start and the very end of it make me feel like this is the sequel to The Terminal. Because I
Yeah.
seriously don't know whether Benji just fucking lives out of the airport 24/7, and that's it. I know you aren't, paying attention to the season for the obvious reasons. Um, but are you overjoyed the fact that A Real Pain did 2 for 2 at the BAFTAs?
That I mean, I'm not expecting it to translate. As far as screenplay, I'm not expecting it to translate any further.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was like a fluke, but it was the best fluke of the season so far. Probably. That really felt like, with everything going on, it felt like a bit of a weight off to see those results. I love it. And of course, I went and looked at the speech immediately. So, and it was such an Eisenberg speech.
Which one? Both of them?
Well, mainly his own, but the Culkin one as well.
Bryce says, "Have any of us watched To Tell the Truth?" I've been just watching it on YouTube, specifically some of the 60s and 70s episodes. Surprising to see some notable people such as Carol Spinney, the original Oscar the Grouch and Big Bird from the Sesame Street days, Stan Lee, Tim Rice, and a 1-year-old Christian Slater cameo. And can I just... Okay.
I love game shows. Anybody that knows me, like really knows me, knows that I absolutely love game shows. Again, one of the weird factoids about me was that my shoot third word ever was Bob Barker. That sounds like a joke. It totally is not. So, and I lived on Nickelodeon Games and Sports back in the day. That channel was like the greatest thing in the world.
Yes.
Love Nickelodeon game shows, love game shows in general. Game Show Network coming to our local cable company was like the greatest thing in the world, especially when they created those actual show, like the new shows that you could play along. I love doing that, playing like Whammy and Lingo and things like that on the Game Show Network website. Just trying to get on the leaderboard. Love that. That was always fun. I've watched a lot of game shows growing up. I've seen To Tell Your Truth, Take a Shot, To Tell the Truth a couple of times. Not really one I would binge watch. That's more of like a Double Dare or like a Legends of the Hidden Temple, things like that. Press Your Luck. I love Jeopardy, don't get me wrong, but it's not really something I could like binge watch. More of like the Richard Dawson style game shows, like Match Game, things like that. That's the stuff I know I could binge watch 100% because I did before.
I mean, I've seen clips from the stuff. Yeah, just Bridie was saying, can I just appreciate how awesome Bean had fun drawing his number? Um, Other contestants include Dr. Zeus, Bob Clampett, the Looney Tunes director, Jack Mercer, the voice of Popeye, Jennifer O'Neill from Summer of 42, and William Hanna of Hanna-Barbera fame. And even in the 80s, they had Rosa Parks as a contestant as well.
Also, another thing I forget is MTV had some fantastic game shows in the 80s and 90s. Like, I loved Remote Control. Is probably one of the best game shows of all time. And like Singled Out was fun, and there was Beat the Geeks later on in life, like in the 2000s. That was fun. I was trying to get on there to be like the Batman geek, even though I knew I was not even as good as Chris. But Chris got beaten, but he won't talk about that. The thing is, Batman Schmeperty revealed it all. But the thing is, I always have had a want, a need, and a wish to be on a game show. And I hope that someday, I don't know how, it ends up happening, because it's always something I had following my whole life. I wanted to be a game show host at one point, and the Bob Barker thing we've already talked about. But yeah, a game show is always going to be the thing that I really wanted. I've tried out for Jeopardy, like the open call auditions, not the live ones or anything, but like, you know, when you go to the website and you do the time test and everything. I've done that several times, never gone anywhere. I know I could really beat people in Wheel of Fortune, but not really that easy to do that. But always one I've had fun with. So yeah, still to this day, a bucket list item would be to get on a game show, and I hope someday I get to. Fun to play along, though. It really is. Even the older game shows, it's fun to see what you actually know.
Did I ever mention playing one of the Wheel of Fortune video games, and I knew what the puzzle was before any letters were revealed?
I've had that a couple times myself, but it's been a long time.
It was, I think the clue was roll, and it was Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, and I knew it because of where the hyphen was.
That's great.
Gave that away.
I remember playing that computer game.
Yeah.
Josie says, "Hey guys, sorry I'm late. Owen has got your notes, don't worry. Finally finished The Black Arrow by Robert Louis Stevenson. Amazing book. I also watched the film adaptation, which also was great. I also watched Let the Balloon Go, the year my parents went on vacation, Tuvalu, and Krabat the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And then also missing, which she asks you, AJ, your thoughts on it. This is the 1982 film, not the, what was it? I think it was called The Missing. We had the definitive article in there from like 2003, I want to say. But yeah, the 1982 historical drama, or at least as Wikipedia calls it, with Jack Lemmon and Sissy Spacek.
Yeah, the Costa Gavras movie. Oh my god, I don't think I can give you any specific thoughts, but I remember really liking it. Was at that time where I was watching like Best Picture nominees, and I remember really liking it, but unfortunately I can't get any. I'd really have to rewatch it before I could get specific, but I do remember being a fan of it for sure. Of course, I'm just a Lemon fan in general. That probably helped a lot, especially in roles like that.
And that's what I think Vangelis followed up on the year after Chariots of Fire. In terms of score, the crazy son of a bitch. Josie also asks, favorite use of a fishbowl or a fish tank in a movie or TV show?
Well, the first one that jumped in my head was the torture scene in A Fish Called Wanda.
That's a good one.
Ironically, 2 of the 6 faces you saw in that also appear in one of my favourites. The random bloody fish saying good morning to each other, saying, oh, meaning of life. Just that random opening to meaning of life where it's like, and it only sort of comes back to it when it turns out they're the fish in the restaurant where creosote is and everything.
I mean, it might be kind of cheating a bit, but I probably would have to go with Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was really fun. There was a video where they were talking about each other's movies, and the Nosferatu cast learning that Willem Dafoe is Gil. Their minds were blown.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know how you can't tell, but
Tell me about it.
Parsnip says AJ should visit you in Orlando, Owen. You guys must miss each other at least hanging out. Where's the other bit mentioning?
It's gonna happen someday. Well, I mean, there's a freestanding invitation for when that happens.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of heat there, and hurricanes, and I don't.
Gray says Owen would take AJ to Voices of Liberty and then do a sip and snack special.
I don't think that's again in the immortal words of Al Borland. I don't think so, Tim. AJ would. I would not take AJ to Voices. I don't think he'd dig that. I
mean,
think
all due respect to those performers, but it's
my friends, mind you. Not really AJ's bag. I get that. I feel like it would be more like, I think Horror Nights would be great for him, but not necessarily going to the event, but maybe like a tour where he could see lights on and hear like the factoids about the houses. I think that'd be a great idea. He could walk around places that are not like dangerous or have crazy people around, so that'd be fun.
Yeah. I was already like kind of hermited.
Yes.
In that general lifestyle, but I feel like it was at the end of the day, it was probably COVID or something.
Oh yeah.
But it's like worse. Like there's a lot more things that I like can't do that I already couldn't really kind of do, but could force myself to do. Yeah, I just back out of most things now.
One thing I will say though is that I said a freestanding invitation. One way by hell or high water, if everything ends up falling into place like I hope it does one day, there's no one in the world that I would want to be my best man at my wedding but AJ. If everything ends up working out, AJ has to be. I mean, there's John Paul, there's Tim, but at the end of the day, no one trumps AJ when it comes to that. And if it ever happens, we will find a way. There are various things we can do that don't involve a plane.
Oh yeah,
My mom already volunteered to do it. She volunteered to do it before I left West Virginia.
I was already in a I'm never getting on a plane thing. And now like over the last month or two, that's significantly
I get that.
Significantly higher thing.
Oh, Parsnip saying I hated Birdman. I was Team Boyhood.
Oh no, I was Team Whiplash. Forget Boyhood.
Okay, here's the thing. Have we been through this? We've done a lot of Q&As.
I
We
mean,
talked about the
maybe.
fact that we saw Birdman and Whiplash the same day, and
Yeah.
it ruined
And
Birdman.
I've probably been through this before, but Boyhood was one of those victims of award season
Yeah,
because award season can tend to make you sick of a movie that's really good.
yeah,
And Boyhood got so tiresome throughout 2014.
yes it did.
um, and so I was like all in on the Birdman thing. It's like anything but Boyhood because I'm just sick of Boyhood. And Birdman kind of came in and like took all the guilds and just crushed everything at the last minute.
Right.
It was a Social Network King's Speech kind of thing between them.
Sure.
And these days, I am so much more likely to watch Boyhood than I am Birdman. I like Birdman, and it was probably, oh, never mind, that was probably like 5 years ago now that I rewatched Birdman, but it was time is. I do like Birdman, but just Linklater in general is just Linklater. He's like his own vibe, and sometimes you just really feel like like Linklater is like an antidote to a lot of things. So that's I do really love Boyhood as time goes on more and more. So, and not just for the gimmick, like it's just such a chill movie like Linklater's movies are. And the fact that Ethan Hawke is like literally my dad in it.
Yeah, that is a very true statement.
Semi-breaking news that will probably interest AJ given his fandom for said person. Um, they've officially dropped the trailer now for Eric LaRue, Michael Shannon's directorial debut
Oh wow.
that showed up at Tribeca like 2 years ago and is
I remember
getting a release in April.
I remember hearing he was directing something. I didn't even know that was the title until now.
Yeah, Eric LaRue, a mother after the film follows a mother played by Judy Greer after her teenage son murders three of his classmates in a school shooting. So it feels very Michael Shannon to be fair. Yeah, she prepares to visit her son in prison and prepares to meet a collection of bereaved local parents.
So it's a
looks
look.
of it,
So
he isn't in it. Michael Shannon is literally just directing.
so it's a little bit. We need to talk about Kevin. A little bit mass. Is what it sounds like.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
And of course, Alexander Skarsgård's in it because he's in everything.
Especially movies with like traumatic subject matter.
Well, considering you say that, and then I say he gained his first role in Zoolander, was that traumatic?
Dying in a horrible gasoline fight is very traumatic.
Fair. Sorry, I didn't think of it like that. I take it back. Take it back. Josie's got some missing trivia. During the Pinochet dictatorship from 73 to 90, the movie was banned in Chile. Can't think why. About 2 days before filming required shots of tanks, the Mexican army denied access to such military vehicles. The picture's Mexican art department, then on the run. I don't know whether we mean like they were wanted or, basically last minute. Designed and created mock-up dummy tanks that were made of wood. So basically, fistful of dynamite. According to Dennis Schwartz at Ozus World Movie Reviews, quote, this one rattled the US government so much that upon the film's release in '82, the then Secretary of State Alexander Haig, appointed by Reagan, was forced to issue indisputable denials of the film's allegations.
I only associate Alexander Haig with the Saturday Night Live sketch where Fred Armisen's daughter's getting married, and he does the band back together thing, and they were a punk group, and they start destroying the room, and he like shouts out Alexander to show how dated their music is.
The Pop Matters website states that Missing provoked an official response from the State Department and caused a mild bit of controversy upon release. Costa-Gavras said in an interview included on the DVD that he wanted to force the audience to participate and play detective. The film's studio Universal wanted the opening scene to read Chile, September 73, but the director astutely points out these things are still happening. People are disappearing all over the world. So yeah, unsurprisingly, Alexander Haig denounced it. AV Club website reports that Costa-Gavras actually got an official response from the US government that was also included on the DVD. Missing was the only Best Picture nominee not to get in for director that year. And then according to Hal Erickson, in spite of, or perhaps because of the condemnation from the Reagan administration officials, the film went on to win adapted screenplay. And yeah, first cinema movie that featured a music score composed by Vangelis after getting the score for Chariots of Fire. Which is worth mentioning because after we get our cinematography stuff done later, we're going to go to score, and I'm trying to work out what decade we do, and I'm kind of wanting to leave it open to you guys because as long as we don't do the 1940s. I looked at 1 year. I mean, it doesn't help that you have like score and like music, so it was 2 separate categories. One of them, there's 21 bloody nominations in like 1945. Dear God.
Even the ones with a normal amount of nominees, I feel like it's going to be hard to like thoroughly comment.
Originally rated R by the MPA after an appeal, it got reduced to a PG. Imagine if that happens for the monkey.
I feel like I need to say something now that we're on this different ratings thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally unrelated. It couldn't be more unrelated to Missing. So, I watched Tammy and the T-Rex for the first time this week. And that wasn't what I was expecting. So, to my understanding, Tammy and the T-Rex is a PG-13 movie that's considered one of the worst movies ever made. What I saw was apparently an uncut version that is extremely gory from beginning to end. And he's like ripping their heads off and ripping their... Sean Whalen gets his intestine ripped out. They get stepped on. And apparently the PG-13 version, that's the more widely seen version, has no gore at all. And I'm curious how this can possibly be the same movie. I'm really curious how the hell they cut it. And I can see why it was probably seen as one of the worst movies ever. It's a ridiculous fucking movie. I get it, but especially those shots of her riding the dinosaur. But yeah, I cannot imagine what that movie looks like goreless, because that's like the whole thing that's going on is the gore. I don't know if there's anybody that saw the PG-13 version that wants to tell me what the hell that movie looks like. But yeah, that just caught me by surprise, and I wanted to throw that out there in this ratings conversation.
I mean, I can say... Go ahead, Ashley.
No, I'm looking at stuff that I can't bring up because it's political, and I'm like, dear God. I'm trying to think like what the closest thing for us would be over here in terms of films that should have been reclassified but at the same time shouldn't be because they're so bad. I know there was something about there was something I read recently that they were trying to get the film submitted over and over again to be a PG, and they wouldn't do it, they keep going R. But I can't remember off the top of my
I,
head.
I remember It's Complicated had a really interesting MPAA journey where it was they were trying to get the R appealed the whole time, to the point that like 2 days before It's Complicated came out, the TV spots still said this film was not yet rated. And I don't think I've ever seen that before or since.
Parsnip says, I just watched American Gigolo on 4K from Arrow. It was also overhyped.
Yeah, I didn't get much out of American Gigolo personally.
Jay says, I rewatched Feds last night with Rebecca De Mornay. Great to revisit. Thoughts on her work? I mean,
Fine. Outside of Risky Business, she's never really left an impression on me. But I also feel like I haven't seen that many things with. Oh well, Hand on Rock's Cradle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, just that little movie as well. Oh, were you about to say something earlier in the ratings conversation?
Yeah, there was kids. Because it originally got an NC-17, and then when Miramax got it, it went unrated.
Yeah.
A lot of Larry Clark stuff has actually been like toned down, and unrated versions exist. Like that's how like it was so hard to find like Ken Park and every way and he hasn't made a movie since 2018.
Something tells me there's some kind of reason.
Oh, I know what the reason is, but I can't really say it out loud. So let's go.
Bry actually has a question for you, Owen.
All right,
relating
let's go.
to Florida stuff. Your thoughts on Muppet Vision 3D closing with Court being replaced with a Monsters Inc. theme and the Electric Mayhem taking over the Rock and Roller Coaster?
It's interesting it took this long to get this out there, but I figured somebody would bring it up eventually. There's lots of things about this. Muppets 4D is great. Love it. It's not something that I do every single time, but I try to every like couple times I go to studios. Usually I go to studios just to do like Toy Story Land, and occasionally I'll get on Rise of the Resistance when I can actually get in there. The main selling point for me about studios is sci-fi, because everyone knows I love me some Garco, but as everyone should. But the thing is, when it comes to it, Muppets is great. The fact that they're getting rid of the whole Muppets courtyard for a cult, a literal cult, I kind of have a little bit of a problem with, but because ever since Monsters University, I haven't been able to take the Monsters Inc. brand seriously. I think Monsters University, to me, it like fried my brain. Because I truly believe with everybody and their mother, including their mother, wearing those god awful Monsters University hats, I truly believe they're a cult. So the fact that it's taking over for the Muppets sucks. I don't like that. But again, I hate Avatar and I hate Cars. And Pandora and Cars Land are two of the best themed locations in any theme park globally. And I'll stick up for that. And I hate How to Train Your Dragon. Everyone knows that. But Isle of Berk at Epic Universe, when it opens in a couple of months, I'm intrigued because at the end of the day, I'm a credit counter. So I just care more about the attractions themselves. So a new credit is a new credit. Now, Electric Mayhem taking over for the Rock and Roller Coaster, that's a different story. I like Rock and Roller Coaster a lot. AJ, have you ever been on it?
No.
Okay. I didn't know if you took a spin on it when you were here at one point. I didn't think so, but I thought I'd ask. Rock and Roller Coaster has had a very interesting life of what it could have been. Like there was one point Rock and Roller Coaster was going to be the Rolling Stones. That never happened, obviously. Aerosmith has been in charge for the longest time. They got rid of the Steven Tyler doing the shocker. They blurred it out and everything like that. All the fun was taken away. Ken Marino is still incredible, and he still matters. So the thing about it is, and with Ileana Douglas as well, but love Rock and Roller Coaster, has the worst single rider line in any theme park, and don't at me. But the thing is, I'm okay with the Muppets taking over because that way it's going to be very interesting. Because there's always been an idea that there would be a Muppet-based attraction, and a lot of people after the movie came out wanted to see it be Haunted Mansion. I'm completely fine with them taking over the Rock and Roller Coaster, and I'm very curious to see what it's going to be. It's not a new credit, not technically, but I'm very intrigued what they're going to do, and the fact that Muppets will live on under the Disney branding still makes me happy because Muppets is timeless, just like Tony Storm.
I've got distracted by something important. You know, you've probably seen, if you kept an eye on social media, about the plane that landed upside down in Canada yesterday.
That's correct.
Somebody has said we've got an actual picture of the pilot that flied it, and it's bloody Denzel from Flight.
I knew they were going to go there. That's the first thing that popped in my mind when I heard about it. I won't even lie. Like, Denzel on your plane? No, you're lying.
Parsnip. Oh, okay, so back to the real pain stuff. Parsnip stuff. I didn't laugh one time, but I just don't get it. Culkin's character annoyed me as well as Eisenberg's, but I did enjoy Jennifer Grey. One fun fact. I also loved A Real Pain, but AJ pretty much said everything I could have said and then some, so I didn't really need to defend it because I knew AJ would treat it very kindly, like he does when he loves movies. Yeah, Real Pain's phenomenal. I laughed hysterically during the movie many times. But then you go to the thought process that AJ had when he mentioned that it's something, a real specific feeling that you just get, and a real specific person you just know, or you have known at some point in your life. And it's how a lot of people, including AJ, took to Beau is Afraid, which I couldn't get into for any reason. But again, at the end of the day, it's just like you either like something or you don't. You get it or you don't, or you get it and you're just like, it's not really for me. In the immortal words of someone immortal, that ain't gonna work for me, brother.
It is really nice that, like, it seems like at least once a year now we get that one movie where I'm like, oh my god, I feel this.
Sure.
In such a very specific way. With Beau is Afraid last year, Tick Tick Boom in 2021 was one. Okay. So yeah, it's nice that I don't feel as alone in what's going on in here with some of the stuff that's been coming out.
And I sometimes I feel like I'm like just, it's not that I don't get it. It doesn't work for me. And just like some movies just I don't connect with. That's just how it is. One person watches one movie, and then someone watches it. It's going to be a different opinion almost every time.
Yeah, and like has been talked about, when somebody tells me Beau is Afraid didn't do anything for them, I get it. I totally get how that could be like just mean nothing to somebody.
I mean, there's people in the world apparently that think Thelma's funny. And I think it's the worst movie of the year, but that's just me.
I still
literally just me.
I still didn't see it yet, but I'm so curious what you might hate so much in the fact that everybody loves it. I finally read a brief synopsis. The setup makes it sound like it's June Squibb as the beekeeper. It's like the same setup.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's just everything surrounding it. I just know. I just can't do it. No, it's not the worst movie of the year. I know what the worst movie of the year is, and that's fine with that. But still, it's up there. I just wasn't a fan of it at all. And I want to give certain things chances, and trust me, I do. Like my least favorite movie of the year, pretty obvious. I did watch it more than once just to try to see if I could get it, and nah, I had the same response both times. But then again, it took me something like Dune 3 times to be able to get what everybody saw in it. And a lot of the picture nominees of previous years, it took a while for me to get into them too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't immediately get sold on Power of the Dog, but I liked it after I saw it again. Belfast was the same.
I said I know there's a few I've had to talk you into, like Power of the Dog and Belfast and Tar.
Tar was a big one because I really did not like Tar the first time I saw it, but I probably slept through at least 3/4 of it, so it didn't matter. So it was all fresh to me when I watched it, literally. But yeah, it's fine. Sometimes I'm stubborn. Everybody knows that. But at least I'll try to give it another shot. I'm tired of everybody complaining.
I remember being on the phone with you, and I gave you an entire like analysis of the Power of the Dog.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, that's what it was. Okay.
It's not one of those movies like, hey, I don't even remember that dude in the movie. How much did you see? He was all over the movie. It's like, apparently not enough.
It will never not blow my mind.
Yeah.
When you told me the first time you saw Dune, you didn't realize that Brolin was in it.
Not at all.
So when you fell asleep during Dune, it was fucking early. That training scene's what, the first 10 or 15 minutes?
Yeah. It's a combination of many things. Number one, obviously, I'll throw. I'm not the youngest person in the world, but I'm not the oldest either. So, but I just feel like it sometimes. Two, it's the Thanksgiving thing. I am fully fed after consuming Blaze Pizza, and it's warm. It's a comfortable chair. Usually wearing my Taylor cardigan, so I'm super comfortable. And it's like, nope. I get 1 second that I'm bored, done. 15, 20, 30 minutes have passed, and I don't remember any of this.
My solution is always to eat during movies. Like, it's funny, this is a Brolin thing, but that story about how I had like one peanut butter candy bar.
Yes.
And I rationed that whole thing through Hail Caesar.
It's hard because I love those frozen cookie dough bites so much. It's like I want to just consume them, and they're gone by the time we get to the credits, the opening credits. And I'm like, well, I'm screwed now, and I'm not going to get up during the movie unless it's a bathroom emergency. So other than that, I'm not getting up if the movie's on. So I'm not going to get a refill when I go to the bathroom because I just want to get back in the theater. Because I hate getting up during movies. It drives me nuts. What was the question again? Did that on purpose.
Joe's with a little fact about Feds. Ellie and Janice celebrate with drinks at Morby's bar, which is the same bar exterior and name as the bar in Flashdance. Looking at the fictional nations such as Florin from The Princess Bride, Genovia from Princess Diaries, Zabroka from Grand Budapest, Zamunda from Coming to America, and Nibia from Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. Which countries could you imagine invading or taking over each other, or maybe form an alliance?
This is a dark question. Anybody want to take this one?
You know, I kind of think that Genovia is a lot more war themed than you're expecting. I don't know what I get about this. I just imagine me as a fun dictator with like a pink wand. Just having fun with it.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around the phrase "fun dictator."
I feel that Zamunda would be in an alliance with Wakanda. Mainly just because, like, We want the vibranium too, motherfucker.
I mean, I think Nivea, Tommy Davidson be trying to kill everybody, so there you go. That'd be a problem.
Just
But
biting
if he's on our
everybody.
side, that's all that matters.
Parsnip says,
Weird questions Josie throws out that just makes my mind just like spin. And then when my mind spins, I talk. Sometimes when I talk, I don't know what I'm saying.
I'm just glad that we found an excuse to bring up Tommy Davidson's performance in When Nature Calls.
Yeah. That's what I do, sir. I bring up random trivia that doesn't mean anything to anyone except for the people that are on the show with me.
Parsnip says, in the answer to the fishbowl question, Romeo and Juliet from the Baz
yes.
of Luhrmann.
God, yes. Kissing you, playing as they see each other in the reflection for the first time? Absolutely.
Josie says, game show idea, a house cleaning obstacle course. Steps include mopping a floor, dusting services, and Swiffer sweeping. Who would you have host a games show such as this? Harvey Korman.
Mr. Beast. Because it sounds like something he would do anyway.
That was so embarrassing this weekend. Getting some stranger to do the half-court thing and get $100,000. But apparently the only way you were allowed to celebrate the $100,000 is the box of $100,000 that they had. You had to jump in it. So you were surrounded
I just thought you had to
by
eat
the
100
bloody
grand.
money. Dear God.
No, I'll tell you who would host that show, Josie, because it'd be the most ironic thing of all. Mark Summers. And I would watch that. Like I would have a streaming service to watch that. I would use my mother's password like nature intended, just so I could watch Mark Summers host a game show about cleaning.
Parsnip said I would binge watch Match Game to tell the truth and what's my line. I also like Chuck Woolley's Scrabble. And
Scrabble's
Alex
good.
Trebek's Classic Concentration.
Yes, absolutely.
I remember going through a really tough time in like my early 20s, and a Match Game marathon helped me.
Oh my God, Match Game's great.
Win, Lose or Draw with Vicki Lawrence was great.
Yes, absolutely. Love watching Win, Lose or Draw.
There's a few other game show bits coming up, but
good. Continue this.
AJ says, Josie says to you, AJ, if Kieran Culkin were to narrate an audio book, what would be the one thing you'd like to hear him narrate?
Oh God, something manic.
Maybe like if we're talking manic, maybe sort of, Fear and Loathing.
Yeah, I was thinking Hunter S. Thompson.
Or maybe Bret Easton, because I feel Bret Easton Ellis is a bit manic with some of his stuff as well.
Yeah, that's
I was gonna say anything that would make him actually exasperated reading, and you can hear it in his voice as he continues. And just anything.
So yeah, Bryce is one of my favourite teachers. Was on Wheel of Fortune, but didn't make it to the bonus round. Parsnip says I was on Scholars Bowl in high school on public TV in the local area. Josie says another game show idea: floor word search, filling out a word search with a giant pencil on a giant piece of paper.
I'm honestly surprised that wasn't a game show in the 90s, because that sounds like something they would have in the 90s. I mean, they had Funhouse. Come on, seriously. Finders Keepers. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Spencer has intent here.
Oh Jesus, that's frightening.
His first comment in is, "I will not invite Diane Warren to my wedding."
That's funny.
Oh, I see. Spencer's like, oh, this is like, this is like, who did the fucking song "When Worlds Collide" that was on fucking SmackDown versus Raw?
Power Man
That's
5000.
it. Yeah, this is the Power Man 5000 question, AJ, and Owen. Although the
Okay.
question is to AJ, but I think there's connotations here. AJ, your thoughts on Tarantino enjoying Greta Gerwig's work and praising her a lot?
I mean, Man at the Hands of Fate is one of his favorite movies. So
I mean, yeah, but considering all the hype the room gets, Man of the Hands of Fate is more of a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, but who gets sold out screenings where they throw random forks on the floor every single time?
well, here's the thing too is I don't care. I'm fine with Barbie, but most of Gerwig's stuff is not in my particular interests. But like I was saying, when they did the DGA interviews, the DGA panel when she was there for Barbie, and she talked about her passion for filmmaking and how she loved being on the set and watching the miniatures being built and stuff like that. It was seeing her passion made me think differently about her as a filmmaker, to where I appreciate her and her love of it, even if her stuff isn't really my thing. So there we
And
go.
you don't even have access to AMC where you are, where when they do the Dolby Atmos put over before you watch a Dolby Digital showing, she's one of the people talking about, her and Jordan Peele are there with Joseph Kaczynski. They're all there talking about how they were, everything is different in Dolby. I know it's kind of a sell for Dolby, but still. She was also talking about how more vibrant Barbie Land was in Dolby versus just watching it in a regular screen. And as seeing Barbie in Dolby Digital twice, yeah, 100% that is correct.
Yeah, not the same experience for me at all because I saw Barbie. The first time I saw Barbie was at the drive-in.
Drive-in, yes,
Totally not the same experience.
sure.
A little bit of Jack Lemmon trivia. Pleasantly shocked by Ving Rhames in '98 when Rhames called him up to the stage and actually gave him the award for Best Actor in a TV movie that Rhames had just won, to express his admiration to him before any take. And also, yeah, Lemmon before any take would just say it's magic time every time. And passed away 4 days shy of a year to the passing of Walter Matthau. Symbolism. Spencer says Tim Burton talks about being in the running for Superman on Howard Stern. That would have been fun. Please, everybody, thank Tim and his weird sense of movies. We love you, Tim. I do appreciate, what he wants to do for his visions on certain things. And the fact that even sort of him that was like, oh, I only want my stuff to be in cinemas, has even sort of buckled to, being obviously involved with, because I think he's producing, I want to say, Wednesday. I don't think. Oh no, he directed all the episodes for it.
Mm.
I was thinking he directed like one or two, maybe. That's all. That stuff is so vague. It's like who actually works on shows.
Yeah. Worst use of magic in a movie.
Now you see me too in its entirety. Now You See Me 1 in its entirety. Probably Now You See Me 3 in its entirety.
I'll defend those movies, but I can't say
Now
what
here's
in those
I,
movies.
I just gave Eisenberg like all my praise. I can hate on his franchise now.
That's fair. I did enjoy those movies a lot, but I'm a magic mark, so it doesn't take much for me to like really like cling to a magical movie.
That was worst use of magic, right? That we were asked about.
Yeah.
Josie with another game show pitch. A game show where the objective is to take fish out of a tank and free them into the water.
There's got to be a Japanese game show that's already done this.
It sounds about right.
It sounds like an MXC challenge. It really does. Which is an oxymoron because I said challenge twice, but still, it sounds like an MXC game.
Josie says a fish tank scene I likes Juice Bigelow.
You're gonna have to be a lot more specific.
Yeah.
There's a lot of damn fish tanks in that movie.
There is.
I'm trying to work out what this is in relation to, but Spencer's just put Demi Moore and Courtney Cox in a movie about twin sisters trying to kill each other in order to win Grandpa's money.
I'd watch that.
That literally sounds like something from the 90s. Like when you're flipping through the channels in the 90s and you hit the info and you see what it's about, but then you go to the next thing. So you're always aware of that movie, but you never actually saw it. That's what that sounds like.
There's this fun Kirk Douglas movie called Greedy from the 90s that comes to mind immediately when you say that.
Josie saying Adrian Brody used to be a party magician. Can he please play a magician in a movie? Technically, he has.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't he play? Did he not play Houdini?
I think that was like a 2-part TV thing. But if you watch them together, it can basically be a feature film.
No, I remember being very. Speaking of Houdini, I was before he went insane and became literally actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. I always said after Greatest Game Ever Played that Shia would be a great Eric Weiss if they did a Houdini feature film. And now I just want to see Gabriel LaBelle do absolutely everything because he can. So
There was that. Was it Guy Pearce in that movie Death Defying Acts? I think.
yes, that is correct.
Angelica Houston is so amazing as the Grand High Witch. What a queen. Did we refer to the witches at any point in the past hour and a half?
It's probably
it's a correct statement.
You're not wrong.
It makes
but
Anne Hathaway's performance kind of look still rubbish.
That whole Zemeckis' Witches is just one of those generally baffling things that somehow exists.
Yeah.
Just every aspect of that movie
Yeah.
is like, why do we have this?
I mean, a lot of people would say that about Gladiator 2, even though they're wrong.
I'll stand up for Gladiator 2. I've got nothing. I've got nothing for Zemeckis' Witches.
That's fair.
Favorite movies that depict sickness or disease. It doesn't have to be an outbreak movie. It can, but doesn't have to. Oh.
Define favorite. Like,
I don't want to say favorite, but there's a movie that I really, actually, I can say it because the answer is A Walk to Remember. For me personally. And then a shout to a Brendan Fraser movie that most people have never heard of called Untamed Heart.
That's Christian Slater.
I'm tired.
It was in Fraser's era.
It really was, but I liked it.
Um,
That was Marissa Tomei,
yes.
Christian Slater. Yeah, okay.
Marvin's Room comes to mind. I really like that one. I like Marvin's Room especially because it ends before she dies, and I feel like that's something that you don't see a lot.
Maybe Benjamin Button.
I guess that could be called a disease, right?
in a sense, I guess.
I kind of want to say
Longtime
Midnight Cowboy
companion.
for my pick. Just
What
that
was
sort
that?
of Midnight Cowboy for me.
Oh yeah.
Just that sort of depiction, like so close to the end of just Hoffman's character just being left dead on the bus, sort of. Which is weird, following up from the not being dead on the bus like a year earlier with The Graduate.
I mean, it's more. It's not really the full movie, but it always hits me with Man on the Moon.
Yeah.
Big time, actually.
No matter how many times you see it, the transition into the funeral is like so.
Oh my god, I know.
It's such a gut punch.
I can't watch that movie without crying.
Yeah, I did want to shout out Longtime Companion, one during the AIDS epidemic that is a pretty powerful one.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Actually, it went at 54. I liked 54. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I liked 54 a lot.
My memory of it is so vague.
Spencer says any movie clubs coming in 2025. Yeah.
$1,000,000%, but it may just be the three of them.
Well, we know what our first one's going to be.
Yep.
Which will be in April.
I will be there for that one.
Basically, Owen has a hall pass where he can come and enter as he pleases if it's a film that he's like, yes.
I'm going to use my creator's choice card, and I'm going to come in and out of movie club. Usually I'll probably, if I'm interested, I may join, but you'll get very used to AJ, Ashley, and Chris.
Spencer says, any ideas on how to revitalize the coming of age story to make that genre more interesting? Watched it. I didn't think there was anything wrong with 8th Grade. I didn't think there was anything wrong with mid-90s.
I didn't see either one of those.
They're really great coming of age things. I feel they're very underrated.
Something that I found to be effective is and of course, I'm going to go in this direction, but still. There's an I think it's I want to say Australian, but I'm not quite sure. A movie called Celia from like the late 80s touches on this, and it's because a lot of childhood is being afraid because there's so much you don't know about the world and so many ways your mind can play tricks on you because you don't understand a lot of things. Mixing horror with coming of age is extremely effective. And I think even stuff that's not like horror-y, like the seance subplot in Now and Then. It's like putting fear in coming of age, I feel like, is really a great way to sort of portray childhood. Spirit of the Beehive does this as well.
Parsip saying, I love flying up into Australia twice.
I love to fly too. I'm just poor.
With Josie saying, Let the Balloon Go is a really good Australian movie. Ridley Scott's planning to live till the age of 800. He has 10 movies in the works. I think the man is so cool. Okay. Now I need to double check on that. Josie asking me, have I seen any of the Bolting Brothers films? Off the top of my head, I want to say no, but then I'll probably look at like what they worked on. So I wouldn't have seen. Yeah, I haven't seen anything that they did jointly. But yeah, the original Brighton Rock is really good. Lucky Jim and I'm Alright Jack, I really like. Magic Box is also very good. The amount of like the amount of cameos in that from like people that, I mean, I guess Olivier was big at that point because of his stuff, but I think Ustinov sort of only came on the picture around then for one of his first things. Twisted Nerve is, I mean, it's a trip. Family Way I've seen mainly just because I think that's the one that's got the Paul McCartney soundtrack, which is partly the only reason I've seen it. Although that's a good film. Yeah, none of the others I've seen. So I've seen a handful. Parsons says the Vinegar Syndrome 4K of Tammy and T-Rex I bought when it came out with a slipcover. Josie saw it for her birthday in 2020.
Wow.
And Josie mentions that Asteroid City was originally an R, but they managed to get it
It was.
PG-13. Thanks, ScarJo.
I was just sitting here like, what could have been? Oh yeah, I forgot.
Oh, Parsip says it's not obvious for me what your least favorite movie is. Owen, tell me.
Well, it's something like Kevin we don't talk about.
Go back to the coming soon page of the Criterion website. You'll find it.
Yep. Just think of this as 2023 all over again. Just a lot worse.
Yeah. I think in hindsight, if you had to choose between the two, you'd probably watch Everything Everywhere All at Once again, rather than the other one.
Can I just choose option C and sleep through it? Because I know I can do it. Really easy. I've done it before.
We'll just change the title card to Doom Part 1. Doom Part 1 in brackets first viewing.
Also in parentheses, not starring Josh Brolin.
Still based on the novel Push by Sapphire.
Or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
How is the Precious joke still not old after 16 years?
I know. It's great. It's so versatile, too.
I just realised, considering your fandom for his... Well, I'd say fandom for his work. You seem to have liked everything that he's done so far when we've discussed the stuff.
I think I know what we're talking about.
AJ, are you going to try and... Because I'm guessing it's going to get an international release at some point. The National Theatre are showing Armando Iannucci's adaptation of Doctor Strangelove in a month or two.
That exists?
Yeah. With Steve Coogan as Peter Sellers.
Oh my god.
It's an original intended form as well. So he's US president. He's Strangelove. He's the British military man in the army depot, but unlike the movie, he's also playing the pilot of the bomber as well. Which pretty much means Coogan's on the stage practically the entire show.
He's
Yeah.
got Coogan's got this weird ass penguin movie coming out soon too.
Oh yeah, yep.
I saw a trailer for it the other day. I'm like, what is this?
I love everything about what I just heard.
Yeah,
I will.
I was gonna say,
I'm trying to see if it's got a Fathom release over here.
it's not live because it finished its London run, I think, a few weeks back. So it's like, I believe this weekend, this Thursday, they're doing the new adaptation of Importance of Being Earnest.
I can't remember where, but I imagine it'd have to be somewhere because I remember being able to see. Oh my god, I cannot remember where I saw this. It was online, but I was able to see the both Frankenstein performances that Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller did.
Which, by the way, if you're in the UK, in a rarity, the Sky Arts channel is showing both. I think it's Tuesdays. It's 2 consecutive Tuesdays, and as you said, AJ, they are showing both. You know, Lee Miller's version of the monster and Cumberbatch's, because they do approach both differently. One plays it very childishly, and I feel Lee Miller's is more sort of, maybe somebody that's like more autistic rather than just a child. So they do sort of draw different performances. So it is worth seeing both. It won't be a case of, I mean, you're sort of seeing the same production twice, but not really, because they do enough different work with their stuff. I still find it crazy though that when they actually did it live, they just alternated each performance doing it. So it's like you literally have to learn 2 different sets of lines. Oh, Parsnip saying I hated Hail Caesar too.
I really wanted to dig that movie and I couldn't.
I didn't hate Hail Caesar. There were just storylines that worked and some that didn't. There's so much going on in that movie, and it's not all of it hits.
Johanna, how are you? Welcome. Would you watch a Greta Thunberg biopic? Who do you want to see in a biopic that's totally off the wall and odd? My choice is Ina Garten. If there's enough of an interesting story for Greta to go with, because I feel it'd be spun way too politically for like people to be sort of the anti movie and the pro movie sort of thing, which is always the issue. And in terms of a biopic that's totally off the wall, I'm trying to think.
I mean, I'm still sticking with the AJ idea from a long, long ago in The Way Before Time. Dennis Quaid is Vince McMahon.
Let it be known, I said that like 20 years ago, and as soon as The Substance came out, suddenly it was this very popular idea.
That's a correct statement.
literally had an idea and it just popped out of my
I mean,
head.
as far as would we watch that, I would be really curious how a biopic would go for somebody that young. Like what all they could cover. And yeah.
I was trying to think. Brain fart. Eventually, it'll come up to my head, and I'll eventually work it out. Um. Oh, Bryce said if you'd asked me my favorite song from Barbie in context of the movie is Pink, both versions. Oh, and Josie specified a birthday magician. I mean, Houdini might have done birthday tricks in that TV movie. I don't know. Parsnip also, wow. Parsnip says I hate Zemeckis' Forrest Gump. It's not my jam.
Oh, them fighting words some places, good sir.
I know some people that feel that way. I remember there's a whole joke, and this is the end about. Well, I say there's a whole joke, but I think it's Craig Robinson that confronts Jay Baruchel, and Baruchel says like, "Yeah, it's a horrendous piece of shit," and it's like something. I mean, they're playing heightened versions of themselves, but I can only assume that's actually Jay Baruchel's opinion on Forrest Gump.
I mean,
Another reason I hate How to Train Your Dragon. Pretty much the main reason, actually.
But then he did Blackberry, and we love it.
Yeah, that's exactly correct.
I mean, the best bit that isn't in Forrest Gump is the YouTube joke thing of Forrest visiting, his dying mom, and then all of a sudden they get into a beatboxing moment, like like they put really.
So Brian brings it up later on in the game we're gonna play in a little bit, but to break the ice on this one, Forrest Gump obviously is a movie I've enjoyed throughout the years, and yeah, I was a tad bit butthurt when the Bubba Gump Twitter feed decided they wanted to block me for no apparent reason. But I will state right now, one of my favorite things is one of the gimmicks they do at Bubba Gump, and that's going to be when they ask random Forrest Gump trivia. That's fun. Well, one of the servers that we would get on a regular basis, when Darren and I would go there was a guy who would ask us the Forrest Gump trivia. And the great thing is, he's seen us a billion times, so it's kind of like he knows to ask us the hard stuff. And then he asks, and I love this, and I always find it hilarious. Hey, AJ, I have a question for you. Who played Forrest Gump?
Are they looking for Tom Hanks or are they looking for Michael Connor Humphreys? Or neither? Or Haley Joel Osment? Is there another answer? That's 3 Forrests.
You know who played Forrest Gump? And I'll never forget this. It's always popped me to this day, and he's the only person that ever did it, so I have a feeling it was his own gimmick. They asked because I was like, Tom Hanks played Forrest Gump. He's like, no. And I was like, yeah, Tom Hanks played Forrest Gump. Yeah, 100%. It's shoot everywhere, like around this building right now. He's like, no, think about it. And I was like, who played Forrest Gump? I'm like, all right, who played Forrest Gump? He looks at me and he goes, Jenny. And ever since, that's always a different connotation in my life. And I'm like, well, you're not wrong, but it's not exactly what you're asking, but it is at the same time.
Jenny had an extremely hard life and got a very bad rap because of it.
I'm completely aware of that, but that joke always popped me every single time because I knew it was coming, and I said it. We would start saying it to the other people that worked there, And dude looked like Rob Hewell too, so it was even funnier. So
I mean, by the way, just so we're clear, it is the perfect setup for a trick question because there are 3 people that technically play Forrest Gump in the movie.
you are absolutely correct.
Just one is Forrest Jr., obviously, but still.
I said Forrest Gump. I didn't say Forrest Gump Senior or Junior. I said Forrest Gump. Technically speaking, you're correct. Still. But yeah, I just want to bring that little tidbit up. So it's now immortalized on a podcast, just like nature intended, with me talking about TV channels when I was a kid.
It's officially on the books. It's canon.
Yes, it is now canon. We can talk about it like 10 years down the line when hopefully I'm a lot happier and someone else is in this apartment with me as well.
Longtime companion needs a Blu-ray release and the DVD's out of print. Parsip says. I love 54, one of my favorites. The one who died is the disco granny.
54 is so good. So good. People did not know Mike Myers was capable of that. And he just did the exact same thing that Adam Sandler did. Showed that he had a true side that wasn't just comedic. And that's why I really, because I'm a Wayne's World mark, everybody knows that. But, and I love So I Married an Axe Murderer a lot. And I love Shrek. And I just enjoy Mike Myers in general. But yeah, 54 really showed me a different side of him. And his Steve Rubell is just fantastic. And I love that movie. And I like Party Monster too, speaking of like talking about the Culkins from earlier, but talking about Macaulay instead of Kieran.
Parsnip also says Labyrinth and Never Ending Story are both scary for children.
They are.
Forrest Gump considered one of the worst Best Picture winners because Pulp Fiction lost. A bit.
I mean, I
understand.
I mean, I don't know what it says that Tarantino's my actual like creative hero, but I've never begrudged the Forrest Gump win, honestly. I don't want to like Pulp Fiction is my all-time favorite movie. I hate saying that because it sounds very film bro-y, but it's just true. But no, I've never had a problem with that win. With you, a lot of people will say Shawshank also, but when you look at it at the time, Shawshank was kind of, with its reputation at the time, Shawshank was kind of lucky to do as well as it did, nominations wise. Especially with Darabont not making it in director.
I think Parsnip has worded this question very well, so it just about makes it through the Baker filter, shall we call it?
Yes.
Yeah. So to Owen, did you know AJ's story prior to sharing it, and did you dislike the movie apart from AJ's story?
Hell yes, I did.
I
was one of the first humans to ever read it.
To the first part. Well, no, you dislike the movie. Hell yes, I did. Yeah, that's both could be hell yes, I did.
Yeah, that is actually a correct statement. I don't have to elaborate any further. Hell yes, I did.
Yeah.
On both of your questions.
Right, because I've got Bry's stuff from the top of the chat sorted. Do you want to go through Josie's?
I don't have Josie's. I just have the game from last time. I've got a couple of things from Spencer. Still.
Oh, okay, well, we mentioned them and mentioned the game, yeah.
So, as always, we're going to end with our tried and true, which, of course, is going to be our loyal Popcast viewers or listeners, depending on how they're doing things. If you're not watching us, if you're listening to us, either way, we have several members of the extended Popcast family that are providing more commentary and chat than others. So, we end the show with them every single time. So Spencer has sent me some messages that are questions and also assorted comments. Is that a way to put it, AJ?
I guess.
I guess, because you're only one other me that's seen them. Josie has a game, and Brian has a game. So we're going to end on those 3. So apparently, the reason why we haven't seen Spencer lately is he gave me the Iggy that he officially proposed to his girlfriend of 6 years recently while watching Pacific Heights, and he thanks you specifically. So a random 22 things we can talk about right now. Have you ever seen the 13 year good Disney Channel movie?
I haven't. No.
I haven't either.
No.
This is going to go really well.
We'll just we'll look into it. We'll look into it.
Yeah, sure. Asked if AJ and myself enjoyed missing movies together. What was your last film seen together?
I think it was one of two. It was either Rock Dog or that movie with Nicholas Hoult and Anthony Hopkins. Collide, was that the name of it?
Yeah,
It was somewhere in that time. It was somewhere in the Get Out area.
because
Coming out.
I left Regal like this day 8 years ago, like a couple days ago, because it came up on my time hop on Facebook. And I left and had a week off after I put my 2 weeks in so I could get everything sorted, and that including going to movies and things like that. Because I remember Austin was talking about it, and like he's like, "Well, I'll see you tonight," and things like that. Because we would go to the movies several times before I left for Florida. And yeah, I know for a fact that the last movie I ever built was La La Land, which makes me feel great to say, because I did build digital movies for quite a while. Key and everything, super great. One of my favorite things doing.
You mentioned Austin. He was because of him, the last poster I got to take was Split. I remember that.
Right. Yeah, so, and it's funny because it's hilarious thinking about it, because back in the day we used to get paid to preview. It was fun because they would put up the list of movies and everybody would call dibs on what they wanted to watch. And some people got paid and some people didn't. And I remember it was like managers versus employees to try to figure out who was going to get to preview things. And so many great things we got to preview. It was really funny because we have walkie-talkies that you could use to correspond with the person in the booth just in case something happened. One night when AJ was there, he actually got to preview a movie with that said walkie-talkie. Which is hilarious. Didn't even work there.
Yeah, there's a review for that movie on this channel, and I told that story.
Good.
For those not in the know, it was Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian.
One of my favorite things was watching Sideways, sitting on the carpet eating McDonald's.
That night we previewed Night at the Museum was also the only time I was ever in the projector booth.
Yes.
Where I saw the giant. That was when we still had film.
Yep.
That was I actually hold that experience kind of dear now in the digital way.
Yeah, because when I became a projectionist, I just built digital movies. I learned originally like a half-assed way to do the reel-to-reel, but I never got to actually do it myself. But when we went all digital, they're like, me and my ex actually were the ones that they chose out of anybody else to learn how to do it, and she just kind of was not wanting to go up the stairs all the time, so it ended up becoming just me doing it. And then I just took over building movies to the point that my manager would get me out of my movie when I was having a more enjoyable time with someone special. And needless to say, he would drag me upstairs to make me fix the problems because he couldn't do it himself. Fun times.
And you get a visual in your head of a film reel. It blew my mind how fucking big those film reels were.
Yeah, man, how big they were when they were over 3 hours long. And how long it takes to roll down when someone accidentally drops it. Or the xenon bulb. Then they get promoted to guest.
Yeah. I think I've told that story on here, right?
Sure you have.
Where I was going to see yesterday the Danny Boyle movie.
Still never saw that movie.
And they said, hold on. And the guy, a really nice guy that worked there for a long time, was a manager. He had just recently been a manager, I think. And he said, hang on, the movie might be a little late because we have to change the projector bulb. Just go ahead and wait out in the hall here. And like 5 minutes later, I hear the biggest shattering sound. The next time I saw that guy, he was not a manager.
Fun fact, to talk up Popcast lore, you'll hear him in the background of me and Will's first video at the Nationwide Arena when we went to see Raw, and one of the first videos ever posted on this channel. We were talking in the back of his car when he was driving us to Columbus.
I feel really bad telling that yesterday story because he was a really nice guy.
Yeah, he was definitely a Dan Severn, that's for sure. Favorite proposal scenes in movies? When Jaws pops out of the water. Correct answer.
I don't know if this counts. I would say in my heart it counts. In My Girl.
Oh yeah, for sure.
After Veda has talked up how she's gonna marry Griffin Dunn for the whole movie, and then like right before he dies, Macaulay Culkin tells her like, "If that doesn't work out, will you think of me?" I think that counts, doesn't it?
Yeah, I kind of know how that one feels. Anyway,
Also,
a Walk to Remember too, to piggyback off as well.
Also, the big finale of Love Actually when Colin Firth has to walk through town is a great one.
I can identify with. Very happy I got to see that movie in a theater last year. That would make me happy.
De Niro proposing to Ben Stiller in the detainment area in Meet the Parents.
Yes.
That's a few that come to mind.
Favorite scenes involving rings?
Well, I don't know.
I'm taking this a different way.
Are we still? I assume, given the topic, we're talking about wedding ring.
Well, I don't care. I say rings. We're going to talk about wrestler and Beyond the Mat and Ready to Rumble. Hint, hint. Needless to say.
If we were thinking like wedding rings or engagement rings, I was thinking of once again, is this a spoiler? 26 years later, so I'll just say that first part of the big reveal in The Sixth Sense.
Fair.
And the scene in Apollo 13 when Kathleen Quinlan loses hers in like the shower drain, and it's like this whole big bad omen thing. Like when that happens, it's like this whole cloud comes over the movie, and something bad's gonna happen. That's a couple that come to mind.
A scene so important that Doctor Who stole it for the 60th anniversary specials. When Peter Wingard picks up Ming's ring from Flash Gordon. Is the end question mark?
So we have, to piggyback off that, wedding movie speeches.
This one's hard because wedding movies in general jam. But when you say wedding speech, the first thing I think of is Buscemi and The Wedding Singer.
That's always the correct answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be a comedic. I can't think of any sincere ones that stand out, honestly. It's all comedic ones.
Old school.
I mean, it's not technically a wedding speech, but it might as well be. Especially with the connotations of what it turned out to be. Spencer Tracy's lines at the end of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing you got to a wedding speech because it was sincere. And mainly because Spencer died months later.
Favorite modern day love stories?
Past Lives.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
When we say modern day, would the Before trilogy be in there?
I would say so.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I know the Before trilogy is kind of a cliche answer, but that's like really the first thing that pops in my head.
We could also shout out to Love Actually as well. Again.
Well, yeah, well, certain stories in Love Actually.
I mean, to slap myself in the face a couple of times, if you know, you know, 500 Days of Summer and Silver Linings Playbook. And of course, La La Land. Duh.
Yeah.
Moulin Rouge, The Artist.
I hear 500 Days of Summer and Silver Linings Playbook, and there's just so much toxicity.
Well, the heart wants what it wants, or did. So, and I will not elaborate any further. Favorite elderly couples in movies? Carl and Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That's the best one I can think of off the top of my head.
I'd say as well, sticking on the Pixar front, Wally and Eva.
Do we count them as elderly though? We don't know exactly what their age truly is. That's one of those life's questions.
I mean, considering all the parts that Wally has gone through to keep running,
yeah,
he's
like
been
all
around for a while.
That's a really good loophole there, Ashley. Good job.
It's weird to me how few come to mind, because I feel like this is there's so many, but like
nope.
Like Fonda and Hepburn and On Golden Pond, I guess, comes to mind. Honestly, who's coming to mind is the really creepy parents in Mulholland Drive.
Yeah.
It's weird how few things come to mind for that, because movies are filled with them, right?
Sure. The ones I see that pop up all the time, well, the ones according to Google, we have Titanic.
That's an elderly single, is it? There's no elderly couple.
Yeah. Got that one definitely wrong. Good job, guys.
Yeah, kind of rubbing salt in the wound there for Rose.
Yeah, very much so. We can get away from these categories. Anyway,
even though it is like, there is that question of assuming that's the afterlife where she's going back through the Titanic and meeting Jack at the top of the steps. It's like, where's her poor husband? Because she did get married.
So I love the way this is worded. AJ, you know where I'm going with this one. Can anyone? I feel like Seinfeld right now, and it's slapping the face with it. I missed that show. I'm so angry about it. Can anyone explain Ariana DeBose to me? I don't get her or any of her so-called skill.
I think
we just both watched Love Hurts recently, so
I think what came up in the not great reception for Love Hurts makes sense. It seems like the consensus is that she's somebody that's meant for the stage rather than screen. Because obviously what she won her Oscar for is very something that could be done on stage.
I mean, like how she's like discount Zoe Saldana in the movie?
Well, it's like, what was the space movie?
ISS.
ISS, yes.
Yeah, I never saw that one.
See, the thing is that movie is fine.
I love it.
If I'm being generous, that movie's fine. But I don't really remember her making an impact. And I mentioned that in the Love Hurts video that went up last night, I keep saying that I do love her. Like, I'm a fan of her, but it's like she's in like a really specific place of where her talents are. And yeah, and like maybe just the right movie still hasn't come along yet. She's still pretty early in her career. So, but right now it feels like she's more destined for the stage.
And some people are.
Sort of like Yeah, like Jennifer Hudson,
Mm-hmm.
who also won an Oscar for a musical performance, and it's like, oh, they're going to be in everything now, and it's like, not really. They have a specific place that they really shine. So, but yeah, it's not impossible that there could be other roles that we just haven't gotten to yet. But my mind is open when it comes to what she could still be capable of. But I get it when people say she might just be meant for the stage.
All right.
Yeah. The fact that the next thing that arises my attention is that, speaking of stage, she's apparently going to be in Bernard Rose's adaptation of King Lear called Lear Rex, uh, with Al Pacino as Lear and Rachel Brosnahan and Jessica Chastain as Regan and Goneril, and DeBose is playing Cordelia. But yeah, we've also got Lakeith Stanfield, Peter Dinklage, Chris Messina, Danny Houston, even Stephen Dorff. The Dorfster is back.
That's actually kind of an amazing cast.
Yeah. There's probably other names that I didn't mention, but yeah.
Stephen Dorff is underrated. I'm glad that Sofia Coppola gave him like something to show people that was unexpected from him.
I
All right.
completely forgot that he did the voice of the lead character in the remake of Far Cry 1 that they did on the original Xbox from like 20 years ago. It's all those random bits where it's like, normally it's just, people in house, and then randomly for this Far Cry thing, it's like, no, let's get Stephen Dorff in. Like, because this would have been in around what I think World Trade Center was like the year after in 06. Probably been the biggest thing around then.
Yeah.
Come to think of it. Oh, Shadow Boxer as well that I liked.
Oh god, what was it? What was that line in Shadowboxer he had? Don't bother me when I'm fucking, or something like that. He was interrupted mid coitus, and the person was almost killed for it.
It sounds like something Rudy Ray Moore would do in Shaft.
Do you mean Richard Roundtree?
God dang it!
Then
Rudy Ray
again,
Moore
it
was
does
horrible.
sound like something
Dolomite,
Rudy Ray
yeah.
Moore would see in Peter
I meant to say
Straw
Dolomite, not Shaft.
or
Okay.
Dolomite or anything. To be fair, so that also is appropriate.
You take the show home. I can't talk anymore.
Yeah. Okay. I know we still have Josie stuff. I need to say this now. We'll wrap up Spencer's stuff, and then we'll do Brian's game. And I'm probably gonna have to leave because I haven't eaten yet, and I'm feeling a little lightheaded, to be honest.
Neither have I. I'm starving.
So, what was Spencer's next thing?
Thoughts on Rashida Jones and On the Rocks? I thought Bill should have won.
Oh my god, that is hilarious timing. Okay, I have no problems with Rashida Jones. I like her. She doesn't always leave much of an impression on me. And probably the biggest one was The Social Network, but it's probably just because I watched that movie like and they have that great final scene together. But here's the thing: is Bill Murray was doing his Weekend Update thing this weekend.
Yes, he was.
And while I was watching that, I remembered On the Rocks existed. And when I remembered On the Rocks existing, I had the thought of, yeah, that was the Sofia Coppola movie that Bill Murray was in, and Marlon Wayans was the husband. And I was struggling to remember who the lead was.
Wow.
And it was like, oh, Rashida Jones, that's right. It was one of those things where you go to Google it, and right before you hit enter, you remember. It was one of those. So I don't know what that says, but when I said that she's never really left too much of an impression on me specifically, but I do like her. But yeah, so On the Rocks is kind of a vague memory, I guess is what I'm saying.
Crazy though. That's the other than the upcoming. I think it's coming out eventually in the blink of an eye. Andrew Stanton's new film, which is like, I want to say it's sort of Babelesque because it says it depicts three interconnected stories exploring the history of the world. Although considering Rashida is also listed in the first names with Daveed Diggs and Kate McKinnon, that seems like a smorgasbord.
Favorite Roman Coppola movie?
I'm going to assume this includes writing credits because I think he's directed like 2 movies.
Yeah, Shoot Create only done 2 movies, so yeah, it has to be writing.
So CQ and the Charlie Sheen one.
Yeah.
The Charlie Sheen one that, weirdly enough, holds the title of being the very first A24 movie. And it kind of sucks. It's kind of a piece of shit movie. Writing credits, I throw out Moonrise Kingdom.
Yeah, Moonrise Kingdom's right. Yeah.
I own a copy of CQ, but I have not watched it since like the early 2000s.
I'm probably gonna say the one that's coming out this year, the Phoenician Scheme, the next epic from, mainly just because it says that Wes Anderson, it's listed as an espionage thriller, and it's like, this is, unless there's like comedic stuff in this is completely not Wes Anderson. So,
Oh, PTA's next movie is the action movie, so we're super excited for that. Right. Favorite VHS to watch as a kid?
I had 3 that were pretty much on constant rotation. That would have been Hook, Last Action Hero, and The Lion King. And then when it came out, Scary Movie was on constant rotation. I still to this day know the scripts of all 4 of those movies like the back of my hand.
The weird one that I'm going to throw out is going to be Sesame Street, Follow That Bird.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Oh, and my love of horror movies began when I got a VHS of Bride of Chucky that I watched constantly.
I had Scream on VHS.
I remember that.
Yes.
I'll probably say
I had the cover that no one else had.
Yeah.
I'll probably say because it was
Everybody talks
also
about that.
the first film that I saw on a cinema screen. So of course I got the video for it, Muppet Treasure Island.
Nice.
But then also, I can't remember exactly which one it was. I know it was a long one. I don't want to say it was Godfather Part 2 or something, but something where, I guess to keep the fidelity high, they released it on 2 cassettes, so it was the whole, take the cassette out now to put in cassette 2.
Oh, Adventures in Babysitting was in there as well. Owen thinking very hard about something.
Will Adam Sandler win an Oscar? I think he should. He should, but it's going to be difficult now that he's transitioned to Happy Madison movies on Netflix.
The respect after Uncut Gems, the respect is growing.
Yeah,
you could tell. Like Hustle was what 3 years out from Uncut Gems.
Right.
You could tell that SAG nomination was like we really should have done this before. And when Aniston won for the morning show in 2019, and she called them out for not nominating him for Uncut Gems, I feel like the respect is growing, even with Happy Madison still being a thing.
I mean, drunk.
The Bat Mitzvah movie with his whole family got pretty, not like awards contention, but it was like critically acclaimed. So
Again,
I think
this
he just
might be a case of, do I need to bring up what we've got coming this year? Bloody Noah Baumbach and Emily Mortimer's script, which Baumbach's directing, called J. Kelly, starring, going from the bottom to the top, Patsy Fair, Patrick Wilson, Louis Partridge, Emily Mortimer, Stacey Keach, Greta Gerwig, Isla Fisher, Jamie Demetriou, Jim Broadbent, Riley Keough, Billy Crudup, Laura Dern, Adam Sandler, and George Clooney.
holy shit.
That's 2.5 hours we're going to be enjoying. Sadly, probably not on a cinema screen because it's a Netflix release.
The Meyerowitz stories kind of went under the radar, so I'm curious to see him reuniting with Baumbach, how that's going to go, especially with a cast like that. I mean, the Meyerowitz stories had a great cast also, but...
And the fact that we're also getting Linus Sangren doing the cinematography for it. So we're getting La La Land, Saltburn, No Time to Die style cinematography.
I'm ready for that.
all right. I'm just gonna give them the questions, then just do the comments at the end. Why does Kristen Wiig's characters feel like they all live in the same universe?
Shtick.
She's a one-note joke.
I was gonna say, I know it's sacrilege that Bill Hader's one of my favorite people, but I'm not a fan of Kristen Wiig. I know it sounds like it makes no sense, but that's the way it is.
Does anyone watch Texas Chainsaw: The Next Gen? Effed up mess with 2 Oscar winners. Yeah, it is.
I've seen it a few times. It's kind of a guilty pleasure because I love seeing the early Crazy McConaughey. That really intrigued me when I saw, because the first time I saw the movie was like long pre Killer Joe or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So like Crazy McConaughey was a new thing to me when I first saw that movie, and I was very intrigued. I ended up actually seeing it like a couple of times.
Was that a year? Was that 1 year or 2 year after Dazed and Confused, or was it the same year?
I want to say Dazed and Confused is 93 and that's 94?
Yeah, that's what I was...
I could be wrong.
Brian says VHS when I was a kid was Toy Story 2.
Toy Story 1 got a lot of play with me as well.
It's weird. I don't remember... It's strange that I love the Toy Story franchise, but I don't remember much about the original movie.
Really?
I don't.
Wow. I know 1 a lot more than I know 2.
I know 3 a lot more than I know 1 and 2 both, weirdly enough.
I really like 2, but pre-Toy Story 3 coming out, I may have only seen 2 like once or twice.
And I never saw 4.
Oh.
Ever.
It's not, I mean, it's not bad or anything at all, but it's...
Now the Keanu stuff...
There's nothing you missed out on.
This is an interesting question that I really can't answer. Biggest fear you have that hasn't been used in a horror movie yet? Because I don't think that's possible. I feel like everybody's fears are pretty...
Yeah, I mean, I've got one, but I don't know how it could even be used. It's like that reverse vertigo where I can't walk in places with high ceilings without anxiety attack. It's like a sensation that you're gonna like it's the same sensation of looking down over a ledge if I know there's like a high ceiling above me.
It's funny you mention that because your timing is impeccable. Because today we were having a conversation about that in my office, and we brought up Vertigo, so I brought up the walk story.
And well, no, I guess there is something like that because Fall from a few years ago
Mhm.
covered a lot of my fears when they're stuck on the tower.
Yeah,
It's the moment when it's like, oh my god, we're stuck on this tower, everything is down there. And then when it turns to night and that giant red light comes on, it's like if I was them feeling that red light over me, I I wouldn't be able to handle that. That'd be just as bad as the look down.
am I the only one that's like seeing the fact that when AJ said that, his screen got brighter for a second?
Oh god.
Legitimately.
I felt genuine unease talking about that too, but that could also be the lightheadedness I mentioned earlier.
I'm about to die right now myself. TV shows you think would have made better movies?
Controversial opinion, all of them.
Yeah,
Most TV shows are filler.
yeah.
Well, back in the day they were, when like every show was 24 episodes and an hour long.
Mm.
That was totally unnecessary. This newer format of shows being like shorter is much better.
So, random comments, and then we're gonna take it to Brian's game, and then AJ will dip out, and me and Ashley will finish with Josie's game. These are random comments from Spencer. That's all I can say. Diane Warren kind of gives me Karen, call the manager, complain about the kid selling lemonade vibes. Don't trust that bad ballad lady. Sorry, Ashley, but I never liked any of this lady's work, and I never will.
This Spencer versus Diane Warren arc that has been going on. I have no idea where this comes from. It's very entertaining. I'm guessing it's her haircut that gives him the Karen vibe.
Jesus.
Also, I will say, I'm a fan of a lot of her early work. A lot of the songs she's done that have become the meme. Hang on, do I need to get the paperback? Do I need?
2.5 hours in, no. Next month we do another QA.
I'm not sort of, I only make a big thing of it because it's the new Roger fucking Deakins. It's the next bit of the streak.
We need a meme for this season. Oh yeah, the whole season's a meme. Anyway, remember A Winter's Tale? That was bonkers. Favorite bonkers movie.
Oh, another thing I watched in the past week or so. For the first time, I saw Dario Argento's Phenomena.
Oh God,
with Jennifer Connelly.
yeah.
And I know Argento pretty well. I've seen the crazy shit that he's done before, but Phenomena specifically had me consistently saying, "Oh my god, it can't get any crazier than that. Oh my god, what the fuck is that?" just like consistently the entire runtime. And it's a way it just kept topping itself in craziness. That was a lot of fun.
Every time
of course I saw Tammy and the T-Rex this week.
Every time you say Phenomena, I just think of me and Billy saying that, and then it would be followed by do 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 do.
I was literally while I was watching the movie, I was literally thinking that.
Yeah.
God. Like I said, final random comments from Spencer. I like Gary Busey in Piranha. I like Eli Roth in Piranha 3D. A lot. One of my favorite lines in a movie ever. Don't know why, it's just the delivery. I hope June Squibb wins an Oscar at 104.
Age 104?
Yes. She does stuff like Nebraska and not Thelma. Yes, for sure. Army Hammer is a good actor. I'm sorry, people. He may be effed up, but he is.
I have to agree because I've definitely praised him over and over again for The Social Network and Free Fire. Like to look at the cast of Free Fire, it's very hard to be the standout in that cast, and to me he was the standout in that cast.
The video that exists on here that I get to brag about all the time because I was the first person to call it on here on this channel in my room actually back in the day. For anybody thought it was an idea for Ben Affleck to play Batman. But if you watch that video, I had an original choice before Affleck. And my original choice was Armie Hammer. And to this day, I still would love to see what that would have been. Because I truly believe he could have pulled it off.
I still rate his performance as the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
What ruined that film is everything else on, like, obsessing it about Tonto.
I am completely fine with the Lone Ranger. It's basically his Green Hornet. And I love the Green Hornet, and I will defend that movie.
And to be fair, I have heard that he has a podcast now that's in pretty poor taste, but
Oh, great.
But I will always his Social Network performances and Free Fire. In Free Fire, he's playing somebody particularly unhinged, so maybe that was maybe that's his
in that film though.
For the night. Charlie Day seems like a punk or a twerp.
Oh, now we're gonna bully Charlie Day.
And last but not least, Martin Scorsese directs a good commercial with Timmy T.
Absolute cinema.
So ends another rousing game of loaded questions. Literally.
Man, that random attack on Charlie Day.
I feel it's like when I went off on Ben Whishaw during Woman Talking.
I feel like Spencer just shoved Charlie Day into a locker and told us about it. Yeah.
He wants his milk money.
Right, so time to go through the cinematography things from the 90s. So, to the 63rd Academy Awards we go, where Dances of Wolves beat out Avalon, Dick Tracy, Godfather Part 3, and Henry and June.
Whoa, hold on. Did we do this, or am I having severe deja vu?
I feel like we have done this before.
Yeah, no, actually, no. We've lost track.
Because I remember clear as day talking about Dick Tracy before.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one. I felt like I went insane there for a second.
Okay, we might have to hold off on it,
This
Bri.
totally happened before.
I will have to. We'll have to double check the tapes of when we did it last month, because I think you said. I'm trying to remember what it was. I need to go to my history, my browser history, and work out.
Oh,
by the way, I'm so glad we figured this out now and not halfway through.
Yeah.
We have 1,000,000,000% talked about Dick Tracy on here as pertaining to the award season, so.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look for.
No. It was when it was like, this feels kind of familiar, and then you got to Henry and it's like, oh my god, we've done this.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at what.
Hold it. Hold up. For 90s, we've done editing, production, original song, and visual effects.
Yeah, because the last one. I'm trying to work out whether it's like. I'm trying to look back to when we did this last time, which means I have to go to my thumbnails and work out whether it's visual effects that we've missed out on, or maybe costume design. I can't. All I remember is when I said, we're gonna do that category. I want to say we singled out the fact that it was stuff where there wasn't a lot to it. I will double check the tapes.
Nope.
Should this be like a postponement or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel it was something that we did that, whatever category it was something that was early, because I said we might as well do the couple of years like in the 40s or whatever that was a thing.
Cinematography, we've done the 60s and the 80s so far.
And apparently the 90s. Okay, so we probably want to postpone Brian's game to our next Q&A, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. And I love this game, by the way, so I'm looking forward to whatever it ends up being.
Do you want to stick around for the adaptation game since Brian's game had to get postponed?
I think I'm gonna have to go, but I guess my next live video is the next Q&A next month.
No, your next live video
yes,
after the Oscars, when we're get to talk about movies we actually care about.
Yes, if we pick the winners and nominees. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'll still be doing reviews. So
yes,
all of that. So I guess I'll leave you guys here. I am sorry I couldn't stick around for Josie's game, but if you I don't want to pass it on camera. That's not going to be visually appealing at all.
See what I look like right now. I haven't eaten all day, so I understand how you feel.
I mean, it would be kind of hilarious if I just disappeared out of the frame and you were just looking at this for like the next 45 minutes. So yeah, I will see everybody's nominees, which should be really fun.
Yeah.
And I'll see you guys then.
Bye, everyone. All right. Josie gets the last word, just like nature intended. So we've got adaptations from books turned into movies. We're going to talk about the synopsis as I fall down right here on camera. And we're going to go. What?
We went with costume design for the couple of years of the 40s and the 50s. That's what it was supposed to be this time round.
Okay.
So we'll line that up for next time, Bri.
March.
Yeah.
All right. Oh God, and I have to try to act like I'll use my radio voice here. 10 Little Rubber Ducks by Eric Carle, adaptation by Steven Soderbergh. In this poignant and funny story, illustrated with the strikingly designed collages, Eric Carle takes readers on an exciting voyage of discovery. Following the little ducks as they float to all parts of the globe, young explorers can see for themselves the meaning of directional words and learn simple math concepts, such as counting and the use of cardinal and ordinal numbers. Each creature the ducks meet is seen in its own habitat and behaves in a true-to-life manner, offering a very simple first view of biology and geography. But in this adaptation, the ducks are spies. Ocean's 11, but with ducks. Elsie Pittock Skips in Her Sleep by Eleanor Farjeon. Adapted by Andrea Arnold. Little Elsie Pittock is a born skipper. When she is scarcely 5, she can outskip anyone in her village. By the time she's 6, her name and fame have spread to all the villages in the county. And by the time she's 7, the fairies have heard of her. When Master Skipper Andy Spandy summons the sleeping little girl to Mount Cavern for a contest, the tireless Elsie outskips even the fairies and rewarded with a gift of rare and lasting value. Can she use it later to save the fabled skipping grounds of Cavern? Or will a greedy lord build a factory where children have played for centuries? Lydia Grace. Based on The Gardener by Sarah Stewart. The Gardener is too generic of a title for a movie, of course. Adapted by Wim Wenders. That makes sense. Lydia Grace Finch brings a suitcase full of seeds to the big gray city, where she goes to stay with her Uncle Jim, a cantankerous baker. That word is banned, Josie. She is initiated a gradual transformation, bit by bit, brightening the shop and bringing smiles to customers' faces with the flowers she grows. But it isn't a secret place that Lydia Grace works on her masterpiece, an ambitious rooftop garden which she hopes will make even Uncle Jim smile. Sarah Stewart introduces readers to an engaging and determined young heroine whose story is told through letters written home, while David Small's illustrations beautifully evoke the Depression-era setting. Hattie Harmony, a Worry Detective, by Elizabeth Olsen and Robbie Arnett. Her husband, of course. Adapted by Aziel Jacobs. Hattie Harmony is ready for her first day at Wildwood Elementary, while she'll continue her favorite job, Worry Detective. Hattie is always ready to give her friends tips to calm their bodies and minds, whether it's catching real butterflies, to distract one from the butterflies in her tummy, to giving another a stress ball to squeeze when anxiety rises up. Each time, encouraging them to cheer themselves on. Worry, worry, go away. There's no time for you today. And when a super tall slide gets Hattie feeling anxious, it's time for Hattie to bring out one more piece of wisdom about worry. Brave people don't always feel brave inside. Elizabeth Olsen and writer Robbie Arnett have created a charming story about managing anxiety, including an end note with details about the tools that Hattie suggests. Stella Luna by Janelle Cannon, adapted by George Miller. Knocked from her mother's safe embrace by an attacking owl, Stella Luna lands headfirst in a bird's nest. This adorable baby fruit bat's world is literally turned upside down when she's adopted by the occupants of the nest and adapts to their peculiar bird habits. There's a Nightmare in My Closet by Mercer Mayer. Of course it's Ari Aster. Something in My Room series by Mercer Mayer. There's a Nightmare in My Closet. An alligator under my bed. Something in my attic, and there's monsters everywhere. Smoky Night by Eve Bunting, adapted by Carl Franklin. In the Caldecott Medal-winning modern classic, a young boy and his mother witnessed the Los Angeles riots from the safety of shelter after being forced to leave their apartment. Sounds like The Purge. Winner of the 1995 Caldecott Medal. During the Los Angeles riots, Daniel and his mother witnessed the night's events unfold from the safety of shelter as they are forced to leave their apartment. Diaz has not been afraid to take risks and is illustrating the story with thickly textured paintings against a background of torn paper and found object collage. Trouble Dolls by Jimmy Buffett and Savannah Jane Buffett, his daughter, adapted by Alex Thompson and Kelly O'Sullivan from Ghostlight and St. Francis. When Lizzie Reinhardt's father is lost in the Florida Everglades, she calls on the help of her golden retriever, tiny Guatemalan trouble dolls, and a magic blue macaw to save him before a ferocious storm begins. Trouble dolls, known as worry dolls, come from the Guatemalan tradition of children speaking their worries to small, colorful dolls and placing those under a pillow at night. These dolls soothe the children, and during the night and by morning, the tradition explains, will grant the child the wisdom needed to address their fears and anxieties. The Teeny Tiny Teacher by Stephanie Collinson, adapted from Calm by Red from The Quiet Girl. In this vibrantly illustrated picture book, an imaginative teacher who, like her students, happens to be teeny tiny, takes her class on a teeny tiny walk one day and discovers a teeny tiny bone in the bark. Later, back in their teeny tiny classroom, teacher and students are all surprised when they hear a ghostly voice asking for its bone back. Fears subside when the teeny tiny classroom realizes they've only upset a teeny tiny dog. Radio Fifth Grade by Gordon Corman, adapted by Jesse Eisenberg. Benji, Mark, and Ellen Louise produced Kids View, the fifth grade zany radio show with hilarious results. Mayhem breaks out when the Venice Menace bullies his classmates into letting him become a regular guest on Kids View. Miss Nelson is Missing by Harry Allard and James Marshall, adapted by Richard Linklater. The kids in Miss Nelson's class know she's the nicest teacher in the entire school, so why are they so naughty and disrespectful to her? When suddenly she's absent and nobody knows where she is, the kids get worried about her. She's disappeared. Now they're stuck with a substitute who is not nearly as nice as Miss Nelson. They want her back, and they want her back now. The Lost Ryu by Emma Watanabe Cohen, adapted by Makoto Shinaki from Your Name, Weathering with You, and Suzume. Kohei Fujiwara has never seen a big Ryu in real life. Those dragons all disappeared from Japan after World War II, and 20 years later, they've become the stuff of legend. They're smaller cousins who can fit in your palm, but still are all that remain, and Kohei loves his Ryu, Koharu, but Kohei has a memory of the big Ryu. He knows that's impossible, but still it's there, in his mind. In it, he can still see his grandpa, Oji-san, gazing up at the big Ryu with what looks to Kohei like total and absolute wonder. When Kohei was little, he dreamed he'd go on a grand quest to bring the big Ryu back, to get Oji-san to smile again. But now Oji-san is really, really sick, and Kohei is running out of time. Kohei needs to find the big Ryu now, before it's too late. With the help of Isolde, his new half-Jewish, half-Japanese neighbor, and Isolde's Yiddish-speaking dragon, Cheshire, he thinks he can do it. Maybe he doesn't have a choice. Secret Horses of Briar Hill by Megan Shepherd, adapted by Andrew Haig. They're winged horses that live in the mirrors of Briar Hill Hospital. Mirrors that reflect the elegant rooms once home to a princess, now filled with sick children. Only Emmeline can see these creatures. It's her secret. One morning, Emmeline climbs over the wall of the hospital's abandoned gardens and discovers something incredible. A white horse with a broken wing left the mirror world and entered her own. The horse, named Foxfire, is hiding from a dark and sinister force, a black horse, hunting by colorless moonlight. If Emmeline is to keep him from finding her new friend, she must surround Foxfire with treasures of brilliant shades. But where can Emmeline find color in a world of gray? Night Owl by Christopher Denise, adapted by Edward Berger. Since the day he hatched, Owl dreamed of becoming a real knight. He may not be the biggest or the strongest, but his sharp nocturnal instincts can help protect the castle, especially since many knights have recently gone missing. While holding guard during night watch, Owl is facing with the ultimate trial, a frightening intruder. It's a daunting duel by any measure. What Owl lacks in size, though, he makes up in good ideas, full of wordplay and optimism. This surprising display of bravery proves that cleverness and friendship can rule over brawn. And Safe Harbor by Padma Venkatraman, adapted by Walter Sales. When Geetha and her mom move from India to Rhode Island after her parents' divorce, they leave everything Geetha loves behind. Family, friends, her dog, and all that's familiar. As if that's not hard enough, Geetha is bullied at her new school just for her clothes, her food, and her English. Who knew so many English words could be spelled or pronounced differently in the US or just be altogether different? Finding solace in playing her flute and writing poetry, and even more when she meets Miguel, a kid with whom she's had a lot in common. The two of them help rescue an injured harp seal stranded on the beach. But Geetha can feel her anger building over lots of things. Careless people polluting the sea and hurting animals, and her mom for making her move. She's never been so sad and angry. She can see a lot of her fears mirrored in the injured seal when she visits it at the Marine Mammal Rehabilitation Center, and this broadens her understanding of survival skills. And when she and Miguel start a beach cleanup venture, surprised to find out how many kind kids are out there. Geetha is torn as the time comes to let the seal go, knowing that she'll miss him, but does want the best for him. Learning to live with mixed feelings and accept that while there's always going to be rough waters, there's plenty of safe harbors too. And that's what we have.
I
I am.
The Ocean's Duck thing is enticing.
Yes.
Eisenberg's, and then what was the one after the Eisenberg one?
I
I'm
gotta
trying to
find it.
remember.
Linklaters. Miss Nelson is missing.
Yeah, from the way that you sort of worded the synopsis, I don't think Linklater would be a good. I'm trying to think, something like, oh, if you wanted to make it like a serious thing, have it be sort of a Soderbergh style script.
Maybe.
But then,
Oh no.
who was it
Okay.
that did? Who was it that did School of Rock? Because if you wanted to do it sort of like as a family thing, I feel that sort of setup. Instead,
That School of Rock was Linklater. So
oh, it was okay. So that does make
you're
sense
right.
then.
It does make sense.
I always associate that with what's his name White that does White Lotus now, but that's just because he just stars in it alongside Jack Black.
um, I like Eisenberg's Radio Fifth Grade. I mean, I you obviously saw my eyes light up for it. And there's reasons. Yeah, the teeny tiny teacher is obviously my answer here. Got to go with that one for obvious reasons. The Jimmy Buffett thing's interesting to me too. It's very unique. I don't think I like Ari Aster. So I think that I like the concept of There's a Nightmare in My Closet. Stella Luna feels like something that would be more of a short, but again, I don't. George Miller's kind of hit or miss with me, but maybe. Josie likes her alliteration, like a good librarian should. But as AJ dipped out before he could possibly pass away from starvation on camera, I'm starting to have my eyes flutter. So that tells me that I probably should get something in my stomach soon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the go home. Hopefully Ashley's still here.
Oh no, yeah, I'm just Variety have put up their article with the anonymous Oscar ballots.
Oh,
Obviously,
goody.
with the window having shut. There's some interesting
Yeah,
There's some interesting statements that we'll talk about briefly when we go off air. So yeah, in terms for us stuff next week, myself and Owen will be back Monday.
Yep.
To discuss all that went down with the Spirits as well as the Screen Actors Guild Awards, which are this coming Saturday on YouTube and this coming Sunday on Netflix. I think. I don't think they, whether they put it on YouTube as well, just so more people see it. I don't know. And then a week tonight will be our Oscar predictions.
Yes. And we will do our Oscar wrap up on Sunday after the show's over. And then, as the award season is officially over, whether it ends on a bang or an extreme whimper, I will state that we'll give our Oscar lineup for the big 8 categories, me, Ashley, and AJ. Then after that, we're back to monthly QAs and the return of Movie Club with me sporadically showing up every once in a while like a special guest. AJ's movie reviews will continue. Like we mentioned, also put up for today was reviews of Hard Eyes, Love Hurts, and I can't remember the title. Is it Almost Pregnant? The Amy Schumer new movie. Like a wise, not so wise Freebird once said, "Can't be half pregnant." Apparently, the movie can be. Needless to say, that's one of those. If you know, you know. So, yeah. So that review is up now. AJ's got more reviews coming soon, so get ready for that. Don't know what they're going to be, but you'll know what I do because I'll put them up as soon as they go live. Ashley can be found on Twitter at AshIsMyNameUK, and gaming content and Snack Stash is coming back after the award season's over. I can say the same with my sipping snacks. I have plenty of them. They're on the channel, just private. Ashley can vouch for this because he can see everything that's on here, whether it's live or not live, or people can see it. That's coming up eventually. More concerts coming up soon, and more content. Don't know what the schedule is going to be like. No idea. Just got to get through this award season, and then maybe we can get a little bit more happiness on this channel. Hopefully. So that's your show. I want to thank everyone for being live in chat tonight, listening to us gab for about 3 hours, and me talk about the TV channels back in West Virginia when I was a kid. I don't know how that conversation started, but I'm glad it went there because it was fun. Thanks to Brian. Thank you to Josie. Thank you to Parsnip.
Johanna.
Yep. Johanna showed up for the first time. Welcome. And also Spencer as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in tonight.
And the lurkers.
Yeah. If you didn't say anything, cool. No problem. Thank you for checking us out. And hopefully you enjoyed what you heard on our Gab session. And we'll be back here with regular content next week. That being said, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. Always remember, it's always darkest before the dawn, and that dawn is a-coming soon. And in the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. And that's all we got to say about that.